2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, Tony Dunn, a.k.a. The Professor. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions. We'd love for you to be a part of the show. The number's 252-228-5098. Go ahead and jump in and let us know. Joe Brady on the possible move, right? And Joey Slye coming back. Teddy Bridgewater's happy with 14 touchdowns. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. And, a lot of news on the Panthers GM search, right? So, look, go ahead, smash the thumbs up button like this guy did, right? $2,000 thumbs up smash right there, baby. And that's just the beginning of it. Call into the show. Let us know what you think about Nick Caserio maybe already being with the Texans. Let us know about your thoughts about the conclusion of the Carolina Panthers season, how we're going forward. And tell Cody Lashney that he better get off his ass and become the Panthers GM. Welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast, Cody.
Tony Dunn, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. But first and foremost over everything, it doesn't matter if it's summer, spring, winter, or fall. There is nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here rapping with my boys, talking about some Panthers football. You know we have a ton to talk about. Listen, I'm going to lay my points out tonight why I think Joe Brady is a one-and-done offensive coordinator here in Carolina. I think Homeboy is about to move on to greener pastures. We're going to talk about it, but at first, we're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube, Tony Dunn. And we got some of the usual suspects in the chat room. Z Bird every day, Underground West, 10 Tizzy, Trill 1, 704 Bound Charlotte, The Factor 1, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Brad Dugan, even Chuck from Elizabeth City's in the house, Nick Montiero, Blake Bettis, my homeboy C, Rock Rhyme, Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
That's straight roll call right there. Roll call.
Roll call.
I love
Keep
it.
pounding, Panther fans.
All
Let's go.
Especially before this damn stream just crashes or does something dumb. CK in the house, the master of all streams, the master gamer, and the man who lives on the internet. How you doing, CK?
Man, doing better now that we can, not have to worry about Panthers sucking anymore. At least for a while. Man, I'm just, now we can talk about different stuff. It's good to be able to have a conversation that doesn't revolve around how bad Teddy played last week.
Yeah, and sadly, I feel like one of the things is, maybe it's just because we run the podcast, we're always up here, I just feel like we talk about the same crap. So yes. I'm ready for something. And I know it's not like that. I mean, our callers give us a great bit of info to talk about, and we do vary it, but it really, for a long time, it continues. It's been about the Panthers quarterback for so long, and it's going to continue to be about the Panthers quarterback. I saw, and let's go ahead and bring in the Bat Daddy 52 into the house. He sent us a link for a CBS mock draft, and it had us landing Trey Lance, bro.
Yes, it did. It did. And actually, at the position we're at, I'm not too bad with that. I'm okay with that. Like CK was saying, I'm glad the Panther season is over right now so I can start focusing on other things. And I just want to say, everybody out there, Atlanta, Atlanta, the Chargers, everybody who's looking for a head coach, if you're looking at Joe Brady first, you are a fucking moron. I'm sorry. It is cronyism. It is, I'm a white guy saying it, white privilege. This guy has done nothing to earn a head coaching job. There is no reason a person like Eric Bieniemy shouldn't be the first person considered for head coach above Joe Brady, who has done nothing in this league. So we're going to get into that tonight. So we'll see what happens.
Go ahead, smash the thumbs up button, 252-228-5098. And your thoughts on, let's start with this. I'll throw you guys a curveball. We did not even mention it in the beginning of the show or pre-show talk. What'd you think about the Philadelphia Eagles' final game against the Washington football team?
I loved it, dude.
Oh my God.
I loved it so much because it's so visibly in the face of that win for the culture bullshit.
Right.
No,
Right.
dude, listen, what the general manager for the Philadelphia Eagles is actually one of my favorites. And I like the fact that that guy knew what they were doing. They said, look, instead of winning this meaningless game and helping our division rival Giants get into the playoffs, we're going to fucking put in Nate Sudfeld, let him shit the bed and piss the game away and get the number 6 pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't blame them at all, dude. And none of those fans should either. Yes, was it visible? Yes, was it blatant? Who gives a fuck? They weren't playing for anything. They absolutely have the right to lose on purpose if they deem it necessary for the organization. And by the way, the Carolina Panthers should have did the same shit. The Panthers should not
That's
have
a different
third
right now.
You've got to keep in mind. It is
different. Every team plays
because you have a first-year head coach who is trying to prove he deserves a spot in the NFL.
With a
if he goes
6-year
out
contract.
There, if he goes out there on his first year and he shits the bed on purpose, he will never live. That is his entire legacy.
Well, hold on. We're not saying that he went out there to shit the bed on purpose. But when you're at a point in the season where there is nothing you can do but get a better draft pick, it is better. Did we see the Philadelphia Eagles make that decision to go out there and lose the game? Yes, of course.
I don't think so. I don't think it was. I don't think so at all. I think people have exaggerated the intentional tank part about this. And what I mean by that is that, first of all, they went for it on 4th and whatever and almost scored a damn touchdown trying to win the game. Mm-hmm. And then it was like this. It was like, all right, really, folks? I mean, first, they're not going to be the ones that go to the playoffs, right? If they win that game, it's going to be the Giants that go to the playoffs. Yeah. So it's not like it really even mess with their own future, right? I mean, or their own season or anything like that. It was not like they forewent a playoff berth, which, to be honest, I would forgo a playoff berth when you're a team that's not a playoff team. Like you are not, you don't deserve to be in it in the damn first place, right? And you get in because of the way division crap works. I think that's like, I think you're overselling yourself anyway. Like you're kind of in there just because of the way it's set up. I don't think it was super taken though. Fucking Jalen Hurts only had 70. He was 7 for 20. With 72 yards and an interception. Well, so how is putting Nate Sudfeld in actually just essentially saying we quit? No, I think it's saying this is that we really don't want to win this game. Right? It's not going to help anybody. If
saying we quit, right? To say we don't want to win this game, we quit.
I think it's player evaluation. If anything, I think the only thing that you say that you can say that they're not doing player evaluation is they probably need to see more of Jalen Hurts before they go into this draft. But they already know, dude. They know that. Look, Carson Wentz ain't their guy no more. You've heard stories about the relationship is beyond repair. They already know that Jalen Hurts. They probably reached too far on homie. As it was, and that he's not the solution. And they probably did not know that they were really going to be in the range for a real quarterback. And now they are. I won't say I don't have a problem. Like, is it the best optics? No, but they didn't. I don't think they laid down from the beginning. And on top of that, I think they did what's best for the organization. It's the final game of the season. You're gonna have two news cycles of people talking shit about it, and then we're all gonna move on. And when the Eagles draft freaking whoever, Trey Lance, or if they draft who do we want? Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. Yeah, do you think they're gonna be like, fans are gonna be like, oh my God, we fucking hate this franchise? No, not at all. I didn't have a problem with it.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Like, listen, and that represents a microcosm for the problem that the Panthers have right now, is that a lot of the teams in front of us may or may not take a quarterback. And that's why I maintain that the Panthers should have done the same thing against the Washington football team. Like, Matt Rhule was guaranteed a contract for the next 7 years. Like, nothing was writing on this season for Matt Rhule. He may not have started this season wanting to tank. He may have had the best of intentions, but the season didn't go his way. Now there's a bunch of football teams in front of us that are in the market for a quarterback. All the rumors is that the Detroit Lions are going to move on from Matthew Stafford. Tony just laid out brilliantly to everyone why the Philadelphia Eagles want to be in a better position to draft their quarterback, or if not, be able to move up so that way 6 isn't as far down for the other team that they're trading with. The Miami Dolphins, look, I hope they roll with Tua. For our sake, I hope they roll with Tua.
They're going to. Why would they not?
Well, and this is what I'm here to tell you. They are in position. I promise you, the Miami Dolphins are going to look at every single one of those quarterbacks and compare them against the guy they just
You're
drafted.
doing it wrong then.
Because the opportunity to start over like that with a top pick and a top player doesn't always come along.
They could trade Tua. They could trade Tua and get a guy. A lot of people are arguing that what they've seen from Tua, and this might be jumping to conclusions, and it might be making too many big decisions off of too little evidence, or not trusting your process from before. But a lot of people, including like Cody's one of them, have moved off of Tua already. They think they've seen kind of what he is like, some of the ceiling that potentially was not masqueraded, like hidden a little bit by playing for Alabama, by having so much kind of just, poise for so much. But here, I think this is one thing before we kind of get too far into that. I don't think the coaching staff really could have done much more for our coaching staff to tank.
Yes.
I don't think we could have, right? Because I think we won on special teams in that game. We won on special teams. We won on defense. And you need those guys. Those guys are going to go and make their money. They're going to go play. And if anybody fucking was on the tank job, it was the damn Washington football team.
Yeah. If they would have put Taylor Heineke in a little bit earlier, I think we lose that game.
So,
if they had Alex Smith, we should have won that. We should have lost that game. I just don't think we could have done much. I think if anything, maybe I've said this over and over, putting PJ Walker in probably gets us more wins than having Teddy in. So leaving Teddy in was the tank job. We just had the chips. The Washington football team fucked us, dude. Because they suck.
Now we don't even know that though.
Ron Rivera.
Here's the point. Cody said that Matt Rhule has nothing to lose by tanking this year, right? Because he's got the next 7 years or 6 years or whatever under wraps. That is absolutely not true. Because how many teams have we seen where their players stop playing because of their coach? We've seen it happen for the Browns. We've seen it happen for the Jags. We've seen it happen in Houston. Hold on. If he came in and he lost intentionally with the Redskins playing the way they did that game, he's going to lose an entire football team.
See, I think that's kind of, I don't know what you're basing that off of, because you already have a team that's lost 8 games in a row. You have a team that winning this game is not going to mean anything.
Dude.
If
it means money for them, it means
if you have a coach who's in there and he says, okay, look, guys, this is the plan. We're already right here. We're going to do this. You know, you're telling me that the guys who are going to get paid the same thing to win or lose.
No.
They're not going to be like,
they're trying to get paid next year. Why do you think Curtis Samuel went out there and had 7 catches for 110 yards?
I think you're taking the opinions of a few players on the team as opposed to 53 players.
No, the players' film speaks. A player is not, if they have any common sense, they're going to want to showcase to other teams that they don't quit. If you're under contract for 3 years and you're in the same position, you're going to try to showcase. Well, that's a good point. I mean, that's a reasonable point. Is that I do think that maybe you could say that some of the more proven players would have less reason to kind of give it their all doing it at the end.
We're one of the only teams in the whole NFL that had 3,000-yard receivers.
We stumbled into that win, guys. You're acting like we tried the more that we went and traded to get that win. No, we stumbled into that win.
No, you're right.
And I think the only way you can, as a team, really tank is if you do what the Dolphins did, and that is from a general manager spectrum.
Yeah.
You say this. It's about getting rid of what baggage or whatever players and acquiring assets. But other than that, Joe Brady's going to want to show his offense at the peak, right? Phil Snow is going to want to build, you know, I mean, so here is that we could not have done much more. If anything, we just needed to run into a better fucking football team, and that's what we expected to do. Yeah. We expected that.
I want you guys to recall that Washington game. Who were the players that made plays?
Heineke.
No, on our squad.
Curtis
Samuel, Boston,
Tahir Whitehead, who is on a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
You have Curtis Samuel, who's on a free agency run. Joshua getting the football in the end zone.
Guys are
on a 1-year deal.
You're right. Those guys.
I mean, these guys are on 1-year deals. You've got to understand these guys are playing for their futures.
You're right.
Okay, I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing here. I am never asking for players to go out there and to intentionally lose the game and lose their one-on-one matchup or any of that. I'm not talking about that. All I'm saying is that you can pull players, like you can put put the younger players in and get them more experience. Like there's a lot of things that you can do to lose without telling your players, hey, go out there and fuck it up so we lose the game.
We did that. What really
do this?
There was no Brian Burns.
Hold on. One more thing. Tony is right in everything that he's saying, though. Like, really, there's nothing the Panthers could have done more to lose that. We had a hurt Teddy Bridgewater. P.J. Walker threw 3 interceptions. I mean, there was nothing more we could have done. The only point that I'm trying to make is that game set us back because we're at a time where there are 4, in my opinion, game-changing quarterback prospects in the draft, and now there are 7 teams ahead of us, and a number of them are in the market for a quarterback.
Absolutely.
And that's a real problem. And I also promise you that the players that had a problem, that would have had a problem with us trying to lose, like Philadelphia did, I promise you they wouldn't give a shit next year when we had a better chance to win with a better quarterback under center that would make sure that Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin and their talent doesn't go unnoticed like it did this year.
Yeah,
that's why they got snubbed on all the Pro Bowl votes.
Dude, they won't give a shit next the next hour after the game because they're getting paid the same damn thing. They don't give a damn.
I don't think you guys understand. A lot of these guys are in it for the.
No, I wouldn't say a lot. A few of them are in it. Of 53 players, I'd say maybe 10 or 11 are in it for just the passion of the game to win.
If you look at the average salary of somebody coming to on the free agent from a winning team as opposed to somebody coming from a losing team, you're going to want to be on a winning team. 100%.
Do you truly believe this, though, CK? Do you believe that what the Eagles did is going to dissuade players from wanting to play for Philly?
No, because he's got a Super Bowl under his belt.
And I think that's been the argument people are trying to say. Is people are trying to say throughout the league that, like, oh, what they did was some sort of sham to the game. Yeah. And Joe Judge is leading the pack right now. Of it. And so I just think that this is what the news gets to talk about right now. It's the chat, and you get to take two sides of the argument. You get to take either the side that this is like, oh, I want to be on my high horse about the integrity of the game and what they did, defied the shield or whatever, or undermined the shield. Or there's the other argument, which is, really, was it that damn big of a deal? I don't even think it was, and to be honest, I don't even think they really had a chance to win the game. Period. At that point.
And by the way, and this is kind of the last thing I'll say about it. Even Giants fans probably aren't that fucking mad because Tony, like you were saying earlier, like if you know that you're you're the head of a division like the Panthers were in 2014, where it's like the whole division was terrible, and then you sneak into the playoffs, like. Okay, you're not gonna make it all the way. Maybe they do. Like any given, I know any given
all
Sunday.
It's really not any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday is the argument, but we all realistically know the Giants weren't going to the Super Bowl. Right. So now, because of what Philly did, they have a better. They have a better draft. No, listen.
The Giants do. And the only person that's probably upset in the whole Giants organization is Dave Gettleman because his ass is on the hot seat. If they would have made the playoffs, that might have been some crazy, last effort to keep him his job. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to this, guys.
But before you do, can I just take a second to shame 78 people watching, 31 thumbs up? Come on, this is a riveting discussion about the future of the Carolina Panthers, folks. Hit the thumbs up. You got some sense. Let's go.
Before you do too, Tony, I had one last point I wanted to make. Okay, if you're in the last year of your contract, everybody already has film on you for however many years you have. One game is not going to change somebody's mind on if they're going to sign you or not.
True.
So if you're in the last year of your contract, they have film on you. One game. Even if you had a game with 4 touchdowns and 250 yards, it's not going to change.
What about this, though? Here, one other point, though, is, or about that, or caveat, is that sometimes there are bonuses built in. And we saw Emmanuel Sanders catch that 60th pass of the season and just go, pay, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there are incentive-laden components to contract. So it's kind of hard. There's so many moving parts on a football team. That's why it's so hard to calculate any of this. Some guys might be on drugs. Some dudes might be hungover. Some dudes might be playing to get paid. Some dudes might be texting their stripper ex-fiancés telling them that they hope they have a miscarriage. There could be all of these factors, right?
Oh my God.
Did you? Oh, I know. It's the worst. And on top of it, that's worse. She is fugly, dude. And I'm a fan of a big butt more than anybody. So I like those.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Oh, you haven't heard about this, Cody?
Oh,
I don't even know who we're talking about.
This is Von Miller, bro. Von Miller. His ex-fiance. Oh, no, I did
hear about this. Yeah, Von's a wild boy.
Well, oh, yeah. When you say, I hope you have a miscarriage, I'm praying that you have a miscarriage. I don't know if you can pray to have a miscarriage. I don't know if there is a God. I feel like he does. I don't know. He might not have said praying. He might have said hoping. Anyway, I looked her up because that's the first thing I always do. Matt Khalil's wife, Google her, right? All these things. And I was like, God, I know your butt's the size of a 57 Chevy, but boy, you are not a looker. You can do better.
Yeah, she kind of busted. Did you know that he had to sue some model to stop her from putting out a sex tape? She was like trying to release their sex tape, and she was going to put it out there, and she was extorting him, wanted all kinds of fucking money. But apparently, it went to the courts, and I don't exactly remember how it ended. But yeah, Von Miller's a wild boy, man. He's
Let's move the discussion on to the talk of the day. Ian Rappaport tweeted this today. Panthers OC Joe Brady, a bright and up-and-coming offensive mind, received requests from the Falcons, Texans, and Chargers to interview for their vacant head coach jobs, sources say. A new name to the head coach mix. So, guys, Joe Brady, the savant, the boy that Cody loves more than anyone, the guy that I am okay with his performance at Carolina, the guy that Greg thinks has done nothing to show he deserves a head coaching job, is in the mix. Do you believe Joe Brady is a real valid candidate for these positions, or is this just them doing kind of a little, expanding the field? Is Joe Brady really an option for Houston, the Chargers, and what was the other one?
The Houston Chargers and
Falcons. Ooh, the Falcons. What do you think? Well, we'll start with you, Cody. What do you think about the real validity or aspects or prospects of Joe Brady being a head coach?
I think they're not only real, I think they're probable. And I said this on the podcast earlier this year, and I feel like we had a good little a 3-on-1 battle where I was like trying to defend my point to all you guys. I'm like, look, no matter what happens this season, a few things have become apparent to us. Yes, do the Panthers offense rank like 21st in total points and like in the upper teens and yards gained per play? Yeah, our offense statistically was not good. But what makes sense to us is also going to make sense to all these other teams that are looking for their own new version of Sean McVay. And Joe Brady is going to be able to say this. And no matter what you want to say about Joe Brady pulling in Teddy Bridgewater and him handpicking Bridgewater, whoever's decision it was is beside the point. What I'm here to tell you is that this offense was severely limited by Teddy Bridgewater. I'm here. Hold on, Greg. Hold on.
Sorry.
What I'm here to tell you is that they're going to look at the opportunity of putting Joe Brady with a Justin Herbert for the next how many years and bet that works out. I think it will. How about, hey, take out Justin Herbert, put Deshaun Watson. You don't think Joe Brady could cook up some really cool shit for Deshaun Watson? Yeah, I think so too. Hey, even that slow white boy down in Atlanta, Matt Ryan. You don't think Joe Brady could cook up something for Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Matt Ryan? Like, look, this is a no-brainer. I understand the point that he's young, he needs some time to mature and become a leader of men. And by the way, I agree with that.
How about just learn
I'm on board
the
with
way football works? Because I have one question before you kind of wrap it up. Is no one's saying that you put him with one of those quarterbacks, he can't cook some shit up.
Right.
Nobody's saying that. I mean, like, hey, is that he's not auditioning for their offensive coordinator jobs. This is a larger audition. So it's not just.
I'll tell you three coaches that'll get a position in those areas before Brady does, though.
That should or that will?
That will.
Okay.
You don't think that the Chargers are going to want to go after either Greg Roman or what's his face from the Chiefs? Because they're going to want to try to go interdivisional, and they're going to try to get as much information as possible. That's number one.
And they deserve it. More.
And you don't think that the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, Salah, is going to actually get a job over top of Brady? I think 100% he's getting a job before Brady does.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they'll probably all have jobs by the end of this.
I think that we have identified something on this podcast long ago, and we're not the only people, but there is one large benefit to hiring to what Cody's saying, hiring somebody who can cook this shit up. Is that think about what's going down right now with Buffalo. Buffalo has got Sean McDermott, a defensive-minded head coach, like cut from the same cloth of a Saleh, right, or a Ron Rivera. They find success, and what's easier for a defensive coach to replace? Is it his offensive coordinator who gets a new job, or is it his defensive coordinator? Ron Rivera could take over the defense. He could give it to one of his guys, and if they don't do well, like who was the guy? Not Steve Wilkes, but the last guy, Eric something, who was our defensive coordinator. They can take over. Yes, Eric Washington. They can oversee that. But when they lose, like a Dan Quinn loses a Kyle Shanahan, they have to replace him. And that sometimes is easier said than done. So I think that is ultimately and we kind of zeroed in on this when we were trying to identify our head coach, is one of the benefits is that despite your success will have your coordinators whisked away. But in that successful moment, you get to stay constant with the offensive mind, the Sean Payton, the Andy Reid, So that is the benefit. And I do think that might be one of the benefits of hiring an offensive mind like Bieniemy, Brady, Roman. The question, though, is that ultimately I think the knock is not whether or not he can be smart enough or innovative enough offensively. Is he ready to manage an entire organization? And I'm talking about how we run practices, how the defensive meetings are going to be conducted, at what times and days, and those schedules. And that's where I think the problems for Brady, where he could benefit for having some more time, because Matt Rhule has always referenced things like this. It's small things I've never even heard of. I'm not heard of, but haven't thought of in a long time, because we've had a coach who's been around for 8 years or whatever. But it was like, what do you do when you're on a mini bye? Like, what days are your rehab days? What days are your meeting days? When are you going to, so I do think that those are the limitations facing Brady. Question to you, Cody, and then we'll turn it to CK and Greg. What do you think the odds of him being the Panthers head coach, not head coach, offensive coordinator next year are?
I don't think they're very good. I do not think they're very good at all.
40% chance?
I would say 40 or less. And listen, this is the reason why. Okay, so I want to illustrate 2 points before I pass the mic. So, Tony, what you were just talking about, right? The guy that really fucked this up for everyone is Sean McVay, because everyone's trying to find their next Sean McVay. And Sean McVay is also a young dude who, by the way, people were successful. But he went to a Super Bowl, Greg. You can't say that. It doesn't, but it doesn't matter. That's what you're paying for. He did the same amount as Ron Rivera in a short amount of time. He did it in a shorter amount of time, and it turned him around much faster than Ron Rivera. Like, what Sean McVay has done as a head coach is better than or equal to Ron Rivera, and it's not even close. But let me finish my point, though. Sean McVay is what messed it up for everyone because of what Tony said. Like, as soon as our offensive coordinator walks out the door, look at what happened to Atlanta, right? Kyle Shanahan leaves, and then their offense falls off a cliff. If you're the Chargers and you bring in a young, dynamic offensive play caller, for example, you never have to worry about Justin Herbert losing the play caller that's going to be with him for the rest of his career. That alone is going to cause teams to want to take that bet on him, and for him to to take that bet on their next play caller for the future. That's really important. And then for Joe Brady, the reason why I don't think he's going to be with us next year is how many times are these kinds of opportunities going to pop up? The ability to attach yourself to Deshaun Watson, the ability to attach yourself to Justin Herbert, to a Matt Ryan.
That's whether he'll take the job. That's not whether or not they'll give him the job.
But that's where my first point comes into play. The lure of them potentially finding their next Sean McVay and play caller for the foreseeable future will be enough that a team is going to bet on Joe Brady. I hope I'm wrong, because I want Joe Brady to be back here another year. That would be the most Panthers thing ever if we finally have a dynamic play caller and we waste them on 1 year of Teddy fucking Bridgewater. Like, dude, that's the most Panthers shit ever. You know, I don't want that to happen. I hope that we draft a quarterback and Joe Brady comes and calls plays for him. But I don't know if that's going to happen, man. I hope I'm wrong, but I think Joe Brady is probably out the door. I'm done. I'm done. Whoever wants to jump in.
Okay. First of all, you cannot say that even though Joe Brady picked up Teddy Bridgewater, it's not his fault about what happened with Teddy Bridgewater, because it's absolutely your fault. That's like saying that I picked the car and I'm driving and I got into a wreck, but it's not my fault I got into a wreck. It was the car's fault that I got into a wreck. No, if he picked Teddy Bridgewater, that is 100% his fault. The reason why things ended up the way they did. No question about it. Okay. He has done absolutely nothing to prove he can coach at the head coach level in the NFL and be a success. Period. Point blank. Nothing he has done. He came in 1 year as a head coach and did not produce any offense.
Are you saying any that the offense?
What do we have? 23 touchdowns this year total, rushing and passing, like 23 maybe.
Yeah.
Well, like come on.
That is a reasonable question. Was the offense that he created good enough to give us the idea that he is a savant, right? Because I would say is that if anything is that I didn't see the crap I don't think he did a bad job. I think he did a fine job, right? I don't think it was.
Can I ask a question?
Well, yes. Hold on. I have a few more points. Yeah. But if you know your quarterback can only throw 5 yards down the field, then build an offense around a quarterback that can only throw 5 yards down the field. He didn't do that.
He did.
Yeah, he did. He scored 23 touchdowns total this year.
To have 1,000 yards.
Yeah, with 23 touchdowns total this year, rushing and passing, dude. That is absolutely absurd. No guy who scores 23 touchdowns, rushing and a passing in a season on an offense he built is a savant. Period. Point blank. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Second of all, you're assuming that he's going to go to a coach or go to a team where, as head coach, he's going to call the shots on offense. He's going to call the plays. That's not the case with a head coach everywhere. He might not do that.
If it chooses to be, he will.
No, not necessarily. If you go to a team and they sign you to head coach, they're not going to say, well, you get to choose whether you are the guy who calls head coach.
Well, that
is what you do. If you're an offensive coordinator,
if you go into a place that won't let you do that, then you don't want to be there.
Yeah, you absolutely have if you're an offensive mind, you can determine if you're the play caller or not.
If you're the head coach, you're the boss, bro. You're the boss. The only thing that could happen is Jerry Jones say, no, we're revoking your credentials. Other than that, though, if you're the head coach and you're defensive coordinator, you're a defensive guy and you want to play the offensive calls, you could do it if you wanted. You're the boss.
My last point is, the last guy I remember like Joe Brady that everybody talked about, an offensive savant. This guy's amazing. Y'all remember Chip Kelly? Chip Kelly was an amazing offensive coordinator in college. Got hired in the NFL as a head coach. Had a dream team. Had Michael Vick. Had LaShawn McCoy. Deshaun Jackson. This guy's got a lot going for him. What happened to Chip Kelly?
You know what, though, is there, Greg, just before you finish that, I would say this, is that maybe that Chip Kelly, the offensive play calling, wasn't a problem. It was like GM problems, philosophy problems, some different things there. That were some
problems like that. I have a question for Greg, and try and take all bias out of this answer, okay? Look, we can talk about the decision to bring Taylor. If you want to pin that on Joe Brady and say that's a part of the reason why you shouldn't be a head coach, that's fine. And to be honest, I can't really say you're wrong. But let me ask you this, and just answer honestly, okay? With this group of receivers that the Panthers have right now, do you think that we would have those touchdowns and red zone problems if we had a much better quarterback under center?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I don't. Okay, so that is literally my entire
chose Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay, but my entire point is that Teddy Bridgewater matters nothing to the Houston Texans because they have Deshaun Watson. So if they hire him, Deshaun Watson's the quarterback. And we have it on film. How many times has Teddy Bridgewater missed Curtis Samuel or DJ Moore when they're wide open down the sideline? Okay, by the way, those plays, those equal the touchdowns that we're missing, Greg. Those are the points that we're missing. So, yeah, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you're not anticipating that kind of problem. You're not anticipating that problem if you're the Texans, and you're not anticipating that problem if you're
the real questions are about whether or not you can do the other managerial tasks like I was pointing to. I want to ask CK this two questions for you. Number one, do you think that the offense that Joe Brady put together helps his candidacy, hurts it, or neutral?
I think it's neutral. Like I don't think here's the part, and here's something a point I wanted to make earlier. Tell me, in your opinion, guys, what young new coach that is the next hot thing has worked out long term, like consistently?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, right now, like I said,
Sean McVay is the
one
model.
good season.
One good season 3 years ago.
All right, hold on.
They're in the playoffs this year.
What about okay, I think there have been a few
as a wild card. Yeah.
And this is a name that we don't mention often. How about Matt LaFleur and what he's done with the Packers?
Yes.
You mean he inherited Aaron Rodgers?
And that's what I'm talking about.
He inherited Aaron Rodgers.
Greg, you just
but he is a young coach. Here's the list.
So you're hold on. First though, you're telling me that Aaron Rodgers doesn't run that team that McVay does? Get out of here. Aaron Rodgers runs that team. He is the LeBron James of the NFL.
Okay,
what he says goes.
No, but you asked. He did answer the question.
The question
CK
was
asked the
who
question.
had consistency.
Number one is McVay. LaFleur is only in year 2.
Hold on. Cody raises a good point, or CK raises a good point. What year's he in?
He had a decent year last year too, right? In his first year, again with a great offense that was landed in his lap. Certainly,
it doesn't matter. That's not what you
hold on. Let me finish my statement. What I'm trying to say is he got that. He's gotten there, but what happened last year? He got shellacked by the 49ers. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and yes, he got to the the playoffs. We'll give him that, and he got again this year. You give him that. Now wait until he actually has to build a team. Let's see what he has to do when he actually has to build a team. Because I'm telling you, like there is going to be we'll see. These guys, Sean McVay had one great season, and everybody thought he was the most amazing coach on the face of the planet. And then now nobody talks about the Rams. They might have made it to the playoffs this year, but do you really think they're a powerhouse?
But yes, before Sean McVay, the Rams were a 7-9 football team every year, and regardless of whether you want to admit it or not,
Sean McVay has been a good coach.
How about that? Wait, hold on. Let me just finish this. How about this? I don't think Jared Goff is an elite level quarterback at all. And in fact, I'm entirely sure that Jared Goff looks as good as he does when he does, because Sean McVay is the guy cooking up the plays for him and calling plays at the line of scrimmage in his headset. My point is this, though. It doesn't matter if they can team build or not. One, that's the general manager's job. Number two, when you have all the talent in the world, like the Chargers do, and all you're missing is a young mind that views football differently, I'm telling you, that's enticing enough to make someone want to pull the trigger on a guy like Joe Brady, especially when, and to answer CK's question more thoroughly, I would say Sean McVay. I would say, even though his dad was in the NFL, I would say Kyle Shanahan.
I was going to highlight that. Demetrius Miller said that. Demetrius Miller. And they also pointed out McVay has been to the playoffs 3 out of 4 years.
Who said that?
Swish 94 said McVay's been to the playoffs the last 3 out of 4 years. Demetrius Miller follows up. McVay is bueno.
Okay, so we're talking about... I think
Kyle Shanahan and McVay are the top names.
Yeah.
Then you get the next tier, which is LaFleur. And then the third tier is
you say Shanahan's the top name? He's had one winning record in 4 years and been to the one winning record of Super Bowl once. Is he successful having overall
I would
losing
say,
record.
have you seen the San Francisco
Hold on,
49ers
overall
this
losing
year?
record.
I think you
Had
should
a
be in the
top
Hall of
5
Fame
draft
for
pick
this
for, like
season.
last 4 years.
This is a different conversation entirely, because what you're dealing with right now is you have a guy who's been an offensive coordinator 1 year. Sean McVay was an offensive coordinator for 3 years before he got the nod to move over to the 49ers.
That's true.
I mean, to the Rams. And guess what? So did Kyle Shanahan. He had a head coach of a dad who was able to mentor him through his entire life.
He was with the football team for years, and then he had a lot. So Shanahan is not the best example because Joe Brady
I wouldn't even put him in that category.
Joe Brady, if he was able to land a head coaching job, his ascendancy would be like it's like a rocket ship. Because really, he didn't even have any experience in the fucking college, really. Like, it's so limited. Like, he would be the ideal leapfrogging. Like, he would be the best story in the world. Right? I mean, like, you play for or whatever. He played for William and Mary, like, barely played football, barely coached football, barely had an offense, and then got a head coach. It would be a astronomical, like an ascendancy would be great. Would be insane. I think this is, all right, so we got under 40% here from Cody. I'll turn it over. Let me ask you guys, what do you think the odds, CK, that Joe Brady will be our offensive coordinator next year?
50. I think it's a 50-50 shot. I think that we're all on the same page that he shouldn't be a head coach. He hasn't shown enough to prove that he's got the attributes to be a head coach. But I think that because of the McVay effect, he is going to very likely have an option to be able to go somewhere. I would be interested if he takes the job. Like, I would have a little less respect if he stayed here with the job offer on the plate, saying, "Hey, listen, I need to learn more about how to handle a football team." 1 year didn't do that for me. I would respect him so much more. So much more. But I think he's going to get the option. Now, if you ask me his odds of success, I would say about a 25% chance of being a successful head coach in the NFL without.
I disagree with your point, though. I think he should. If you get offered the job, you got to take it, bro. Like, you got to take it.
You have to.
Like, because what happens if the Panthers just stink next year? All these things go to shit, and all of a sudden your name just isn't high. Like, if somebody gave me a job and I was over my head, I would still take it.
Yes.
Like, all right, you made me a heart surgeon. Here I go. I would like, that's a little different because you're dealing with people's lives. But
that's actually a really good point, right? If you said you have 1 year of medical school and that's it, nothing else. You have 1 year of medical school and you went to be a heart surgeon and you killed 2 patients. Guess what? You're getting fired immediately. And who's going to give you an opportunity? Not a single person. Now, if you're saying, "Hey, listen, I want to master this task and make sure that if I get there, I'm actually giving myself an opportunity to be successful," then that's a different story. I wouldn't take a job unless I knew I could be successful at it, because guess what? You could ruin your entire career by being a bum.
What about this, CK? How about this? Let me give you a counter scenario, though. What if he was offered the head coaching job for, say, like NC State University or South Carolina? Would you say, he's like, yeah, he's going to make his bones and work his way back up through the NFL? I don't think so. I think if anything, is on those companies, in this case, these teams, like, it's their risk, not his. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it would be foolish not to take, because imagine what if he did good. Well,
yeah. I think that a move from a offensive coordinator position of the NFL to a head coach of a Division I college football team that's a contender is a lateral movement.
Yes, I do agree.
I don't think that's a demotion. I think it's a lateral movement. And I think that's a movement that can
think it would be
possibly
sort of
progress you further forward in your future. You know,
I just think they're different games too. I would be worried about
different games.
The recruiting trail. There's so many factors, and I think that is the real concern we've had with Matt Rhule. is that, like,
Yeah.
yes, we continue to hear that these team building things, like he's the fixer or whatever it is, but you just wonder, are the dynamics the same? You know, there's a difference between recruiting and drafting, a difference between recruiting and signing free agents. And with kind of, in some ways, is that it's very simple in college. You're trying to get the best athlete, and you're trying to land ones that you're not supposed to get. You're supposed to land ones you're not supposed to get, and that's not how the NFL is.
Playing for free and winning for you.
Well, but hey, real quick, I want to highlight a comment in our chat. Z-Bird every day says it would be a good interview experience. It makes him sound more valuable by the press, saying he's been offered these interviews. It's a positive PR move for his career.
Absolutely.
So I do agree. No matter what, like the fact that we're all sitting here, like we've been sitting here for almost an hour already talking about Joe Brady, like that benefits him. He is a name that is already in the public zeitgeist. Like people know his name. They know that he's connected with a high power offense. But Tony just hit on something really good right there. Like, what are the like? Okay, he's talking about the opportunity only coming around so many times, right? Like I've been saying, if you have an opportunity to attach yourself, say to a Deshaun Watson, to a Justin Herbert who looks incredible, right? Then, okay, there's no guarantee, as we're going to say for the next 4 months, every Tuesday night, there is no guarantee that the Panthers are even going to be able to get their quarterback of the future. Miami might not be willing to trade down, or the quarterback that we want might not fall to us. So it's more of a gamble for Joe to come back to Carolina than it is for him to be a head coach somewhere. Because, by the way, this is my last point too. There are coaches who have failed and then gone on to rejuvenate their career and become a head coach later on in life and become successful. Bill Belichick is an example of this.
That's a good point.
So if I'm Joe Brady, I don't even know if I'm too concerned about going to an up-and-coming team and then fizzling out, because it doesn't mean that he's going to be done in the NFL. Adam Gase, the former head coach for the Jets, I promise you, as terrible as that guy is, he's going to be an offensive coordinator somewhere. And in a few years, you'll probably hear his name pop up when it's time to interview for more jobs. Like
that's some bullshit, though. That's some bullshit.
Gase
should be demoted and
demoted down offensive coordinator position, guys.
Down the chain. Here, let's go. We've talked a lot about this. Let's move to this though. Because next part of the discussion we're trying to talk about is this GM search for the Carolina Panthers. We're in the process of interviewing. We've already had 6 interviews. There's more to come. And 704 Bound Charlotte has just pointed out, and I have not confirmed it, but I have seen rumors about this already. Nick Caserio hired as Texans GM. Tim Estes. Hey, look, Tim Estes confirmed it for me. So we got 2 people on the beat. We got 2 reports in the chat room. Nick Caserio as GM of the Houston Texans. He also interviewed for the Carolina Panthers position. Thoughts on Nick Caserio real quick, because I'm
glad he's gone.
Yeah, there he is.
I'm glad he's off the table.
Yeah, I'll take these.
Me too, man. I think this, and this actually kind of goes back to that Brady point, is that his stock, for me, was higher 2 years ago. But now seeing the way that they have said that he's been the de facto GM in New England, and I think there's a lot of problems in New England when it comes to their roster. So I'm not saying that he's going to be bad. I'm not saying that but to me, I think it does show that point, right? Is that you can heat and cool based on things that are in your control and out of your control. You know, this might not have been his deal. I continue to say this, is that the one thing that sticks out in my mind is Nick Chubb was drafted. They had their choice between Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. They picked Sony Michel high, and he's been a bust. Now you can say it's health and this and that, but he had health problems, injury problems in college, so there was already concerns there.
Yeah.
He was kind of the flash in the pan player while Nick Chubb was secretly breaking all the records of Todd Gurley and all of this and that. So your thoughts, Cody, you're the guy that has been doing the deep dives into the GM. Yep. Houston Texans hiring Nick Caserio, your thoughts of that hire, and then we'll move into the candidates.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. If you remember last year, the Texans got into trouble for trying to talk to this dude but before the Patriots were willing to even let him interview. Like they were going to incur some penalties and fines or something. I don't exactly remember how the incident ended up, like how it ended up happening. But yeah, it's not surprising that Houston got their guy. Good for them. Listen, dude, I'm such a big fan of Deshaun Watson. Like, I followed him before he even went to Clemson, kind of. So it's like, I love that dude. I hope for his sake that they get some people in there to help him turn it around. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best quarterbacks in football, even in spite of the bullshit talent that he has around him. Dude, Deshaun is other fucking worldly, and I love him.
Tough position, going there, right? There's some tough problems there. Is a roster that's devoid of talent, a roster that has immense problems on the offensive line. He's got his work cut out for him other than Deshaun Watson. No run game and no draft picks. And I got to ask this question. It's listed right now. His alma mater is John Carroll. Never heard of that. Never heard of John Carroll College. So just interesting point right there.
No, I'm happy for Houston. I do hope it works out, but I also understand, when Tony and CK, and even I've said this too. I mean, if you look at the Patriots draft the past few years, they have not been good, man. Like, dude, Keanu Neal, or whatever the hell his name, Harry Neal, whatever, in New England. Dude, that's another Kelvin Benjamin, and of course Cam Newton ends up playing with him, but. They have not drafted very well. I'm still hopeful that Jeff Ireland ends up popping up into this for the Carolina Panthers. That's really the guy. I've Mike Bergonzi and Jeff Ireland are the names I'm really hoping to hear. And I even have a media pick for later in the show. I can save that if you want, but I am. I'm okay with us not hiring Caserio. I think there are other good GMs to be had, and I don't think that we missed out on some, have to have general manager prospect. I'm still okay with the position that we're in right now, but we do need to hurry up, man, because there's a lot of other very interesting openings that we're competing with right now.
All right, let's go through the candidates real quick. Is number one, these are people that have been interviewed already by the Carolina Panthers. First name on the list, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, VP of Football Operations for the Cleveland Browns. His alma mater is Princeton. This is all found. I'm posting this right now on the podcast, guys. The guys in the art and the team, CK and all these guys can't see it, but YouTube can see it. And it's the article from Panthers.com written by Darren Gant. It says background for Adofo-Mensah, a former commodities trader. Adofo-Mensah spent 7 years with the 49ers as director of football and research and development. He joined the Browns last summer to work alongside a general manager, Andrew Berry, former walk-on basketball player at Princeton with degrees in economics. Number one downfall for Adofo-Mensah, in my opinion, is he looks like Teddy Bridgewater. Other than that, I don't know anything. He looks like 5 years. He looks like he's 18 years old. Number one,
he looks like a family friend of mine that I've.
He looks like Teddy Bridgewater, dude.
Still have to this day. Listen, man. The fact that he was a commodities trader, like I think the fact that he was into that, I think will probably appeal to David Tepper. I think a little bit.
Well, that's like acting like I'm a damn stock trader, though, just because I sold my 4 shares of Nike stock the other day.
And by the way, like there used to be a point in time where even hearing the name Cleveland Browns being attached to someone was like, I don't want that guy.
Oh, I know.
But dude, now I mean, if you look at the talent that's on the Cleveland Browns football team right now, dude, if that guy played any part in the current roster that the Browns have now, I'm fine with
He
that.
did
And
not, bro. He did
United
not, man.
too.
The Browns have been acquiring draft picks like the damn Dolphins.
For years.
Yeah, for
Well,
years.
I understand.
44
I'm not-
Rose says, check your Twitter, Cody. That's what they said in the chat room. The next name on the list. You guys got any thoughts about Teddy Bridgewater's little brother?
Well, I have a quick question for Cody. I don't know if he thoughts about it. Cody, Jeff Ireland, he was the GM for Miami from 2008 to 2013. Where's he been since then? Just out of curiosity, I got to look it up.
He's assistant GM with the Saints.
With the Saints, okay.
Which I don't understand this because
building
there's
an argument,
another guy, Cody, who just interviewed with the Lions. Let me find his name.
Hey, is 44 Rose still or whatever still in the
Chat. In the chat?
Adam Peters? Okay, so my man Scoot Smith on Twitter, I love his name by the way, posted this. That's what I'm hoping he can clarify for me. It's like a screenshot of a text message, and it says, to answer everyone's question earlier, everyone I talked to thinks Caserio in Houston, and then there's a blacked out name. It says Blackout in Atlanta and Blackout in Carolina. And then, he's in the chat room and said it's Adam Peters. So basically what he's saying is that this one, 404 or 44, if you're in the chat, just kind of type out what I'm reading online. But from the looks of it, there's some text message where they have called what essentially teams are going to be hiring what. And he's implying that Carolina is going to draft Adam Peters or select Adam Peters as their next GM. I guess because they called Caserio to Houston in that same text message.
Okay.
So right now the buzz is that we are set to hire Adam Peters, I guess.
Well, here's the thing is that, and let me get back to the article real quick because I don't know if he has been interviewed yet. He has not been interviewed yet, according to today. Now, this is good news for you, Cody. Jeff Ireland was interviewed by the Carolina Panthers. Current position listed as assistant GM and college scouting director for the New Orleans Saints, alma mater Baylor. Background, former Dolphins general manager with ties to Bill Parcells from his days with the Cowboys, has been with the Saints since 2015, helping boost their draft class. He was a kicker at Baylor, though not when Matt Rhule was there, it says. I think one thing is I saw that another assistant GM for the Saints interviewed with the Lions. So how many assistant GMs are there? I do not know.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyway.
Jalen Steverson in the chat room says Adam Peters interviews tomorrow, according to Albert Breer.
Ooh.
I'll see if I can confirm that.
I saw his name is he from San Francisco?
Who is it? The Adam Peters? No,
Yeah.
I think Adam. I think it is the guy from.
I think
San
it is
Fran,
the San
right?
Francisco guy, and I did see a tweet earlier today that he would be interviewing tomorrow, so I did see his name on the list coming up. The article that's out today is just current people who have currently been interviewed, not scheduled to be interviewed. So Jeff Ireland is on that list, one that Cody has already highlighted. Here's one that we haven't heard before. I haven't. Monty Osenfort, Director of Player Personnel for the Tennessee Titans, alma mater Minnesota Morris. Just finished his first year with the Titans after 15 years with the Patriots organization, where he worked with Titans GM John Robinson and coach Mike Vrabel. Interviewed for the GM opening with the Browns last year, but was blocked from interviewing with the Texans. His last 6 years with the Patriots was Director of College Scouting. Any thoughts on that name? We don't really know much other than behind the scenes guy, right? Maybe it could be here's one. Jerry Reese,
that's the only name that I feel strongly about. But fuck no.
Jerry Reese.
All Giants fans have to say about him is how terrible of a drafter he was, outside of like the random Odell Beckham Jr. pick. Like, I don't know. I've just heard a lot of Giants fans say bad things about him. To me, that's a step backward. That's like a retread that you're hoping to refurbish. I feel the
like
same
a
way
Jeff
about
Ireland.
No. I'll just finish with this. I feel the same way about Jerry Reese that I felt about Mike McCarthy coming out last year. Like, dude, I'm done with the old retread with a new set of whatever. Like, I'm done with it. I want some new, more proven energy and talent.
Can I step in real quick before we get off the Jeff Ireland train? Because Cody, you said Jeff Ireland's one of your guys you're thinking about, and I wanted to look into him and try to figure some things out because I don't know much about him. I know that we've been talking about the Saints and the GMs, and they apparently have at least 2 assistant GMs. You know, Ireland and the other guy you were just mentioned before, and Mickey Loomis is their GM. So they at least have 3 heads in the party that are doing this drafting. So if you're going to go by the Saints drafting, okay, I get that. But I want to go by what Jeff Ireland did while he was just a GM, just his drafting. Do you know the players he drafted in the year Dolphins from Miami?
Talking about the Dolphins and
the Dolphins, exactly. But it doesn't matter what team it is. That's the team he drafted. Like so his team that he drafted that was solely his decision, the teams were horrible. Jake Long, Philip Murley, Chad Henne, Kendall Langford. Let's see, next draft, Vontae Davis, Pat White, Sean Smith, Patrick Turner. Next draft, Jared Odrick, Kia Misi, John Jerry, AJ Edis. I'm saying there's nobody in there. Mike Pouncey, Daniel Thomas, Clyde Gates, Charles Clay. So I just named the first 4 picks from every year he drafted for the Dolphins. Maybe 3 of those names I know, and maybe one of them is going to make the Hall of Fame.
Listen,
maybe.
I hear you. I'm not trying to dismiss it. What still makes me okay with Jeff Ireland. By the way, Nash for Loco. I want to get on
that
kind of level you're on.
Bucks, man.
I have some bad stories with Fort Loco.
I do too, but not when I'm
another time, another day.
I'm just at home, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm still high on Ireland because from everything I have heard, the past 3 drafts for the New Orleans Saints, which have been very good drafts, yeah. Jeff Ireland played a very large role in all of those drafts. So if I'm, I'm inclined to believe that he does have that kind of talent. So
I can't argue that. So I mean, you very well could be right. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not trying to dismiss that point either. Like the dude,
it's a reasonable point to say this is that you can't disregard one track record. Now you can say this is that what he did in his first go around does not limit, and you could say the same thing about Jerry Reese too.
Belichick, yeah. Where
a lot of these is that in some ways I've always thought that that's a good thing, is kind of learning from failure in a way, instead of not knowing anything about the process. So is that it could be a benefit. What he's done in New Orleans has helped his comeback in his resume. What he did in his first stint was not necessarily great, but just like Nick Caserio, is that, how do we know how much of the fingerprints of that are on one person? Because it's not like the other teams didn't draft people in front of you and some different, so it's tough. All right, It's the C3 Panthers podcast. The number's 252-228-5098. We're going to go ahead and get into the cat calls. I want to know what you guys think about Joey Slye coming back as the kicker and what that tells us about Matt Rhule's influence on this team. Cody's been all over Twitter tweeting dang reporters and this and that, and he's got some thoughts on it. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's go ahead and jump into the cat calls, though. And 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button while you're there.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
what's up, guys? It's Nick from Up in Mass. So,
What up, Nick?
bleeding has finally stopped. The season is over. Teddy continues to suck. Teddy will always continue to suck. And hopefully, this is a learning experience. Don't sign players that the Saints want to let go. Seems pretty obvious, especially with how old Drew Brees is. If he was any good, wouldn't have let him go. Just saying. Hey, and I know it's already been said numerous times, but, you know. So, in the offseason, definitely got to shore up the offensive line. Definitely have to deal with the quarterback issue. Okay, I still believe that I would have been I would have been more okay with writing PJ off if he had started the game or if he had played during Washington at all. Because let's face it, the only times that we've ever really seen him is whenever Teddy gets injured or, you know, Teddy needs a break, whatever. Okay. On top of that, one other start. And the one other start, yes, he had 2 interceptions, but I'm a firm believer in he probably didn't get enough practice with all the starters on the roster. And if you don't get that practice, you don't know how things are going to happen. Now, he was very inconsistent. He was very inaccurate on Sunday. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and just defend him whenever he obviously made mistakes. He was very inaccurate, but I will say that the ceiling seems higher with PJ than it does with Teddy by far. And I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. I'd be more than happy going into next season if we fix up the offensive line, if we fixed up all those holes that we have and we are going to have as the offseason progresses. If we were to fix up all those holes, make Teddy the backup, make PJ the starter, I'd be more okay than if it was the other way around in the aspect of us starting Teddy and PJ either going or being the backup, which, does anyone know how long we signed PJ for? So
1 year, I think.
Love the show, guys. Thankful that you guys do it every week, except for that 1 week when Tony was in Italy. Cough, cough, cough.
Patient zero, by the way. I was patient zero. And I'm really disappointed in the chat room for not saying anything about my look. I'm like Cam Newton look right now tonight. This is my new style with my
You look like a 80s tennis player.
Yes.
All right. So by the way, man, one shout out to Nick. Great call. Listen, man, I'm gonna use a saying I grew up hearing: want in one hand and shit in the other, and see which one fills up first. You know, I want so badly for the Panthers to have started PJ Walker after they beat the Lions, to give PJ a bunch of time with the ones, let him get into a rhythm, let him use his arm talent. Like, a lot of people forget that throw on the run rolling to his right that he made against the Lions. Like, he really did throw a laser beam on the run right to DJ Moore. Like, it was really beautiful. I understand why a lot of fans are like, well, hey, man, maybe we should give him another chance. Like, the problem with that is he just didn't get enough time. And really, there's no justifiable reason to go forth with an undrafted free agent of a player as your primary quarterback option for the 2021 season. Like, that just doesn't make sense to anyone. If PJ had gotten enough time to prove himself, yeah, man, I would have been down for it. But the fact of the matter is he didn't. So the fact that he didn't, PJ is not in our plans at all for the foreseeable future. Maybe he'll come on as a backup or whatever. And if so, I would love to have him. But the PJ Walker is not going to be the answer for this football team. And I know a lot of fans really want him to be, but that's not going to happen.
No, it's not happening.
His PJ's opportunity is going to come with injury, right? Is that That is, True One said Tony Agassi. What I mean by that is I don't think that we could walk into the season with that as the real legitimate plan. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I think if we did that, I think that would be the tanking talk.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's what the goal would be, but you would definitely not be trying. Is PJ is going to have to be like a Kurt Warner special or a Tom Brady special. And that is, no one's going to give him his opportunity until it's called. And if Teddy would have blown out his knee again and he stepped in and he showed some real damn promise, it's a different discussion. I think it's just tough going into the season saying that's the plan. But it's also going to be tough going into the season with Teddy Bridgewater as the plan. Right?
Dude, I would rather.
I think even the coaching staff is, I won't say soured, but there was a lot of talk in the press conference about the second half of the year not playing good football from him.
Well, I would, and this is the real truth. This is not an exaggeration. I would prefer Steve Smith kick my cripple ass rather than Teddy Bridgewater be the fucking quarterback for this team next year, man. I want to look forward to Panthers football. That's what I want. I want to look forward to the Carolina Panthers again. The fact of the matter is none of us should look forward to the Carolina Panthers playing football if we don't have a legitimate answer under center. And that's why this GM thing is so important. Because going forward into April, there is no more pressing need or concern that the Carolina Panthers have other than to fix the fucking quarterback position. And we need a competent GM to help navigate these waters.
So if they sign a GM that you approve of and you like, and he does not sign a quarterback, where does that put you?
Ooh.
Oh, that'd be rough, bro.
Where does that put you is what I want to know.
That would be rough.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Would you like him?
That's a very relevant question as well. But
it really is because it's very possible.
That's a great question. No doubt.
Likely, at this point.
It really is.
Your
I don't know.
opinion of them would definitely go
available.
down, wouldn't it, Cody?
Say it one more time.
Your opinion of them would go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would hope so. Yeah.
And my opinion of them would go down if we decide to do a retread too. Like if we kick the tires on Sam Darnold or Carson Wentz, although I think they might be better options than Bridgewater, still, man, like do some new shit.
I wouldn't be upset entirely with all of those, especially if Bridgewater was out. Like if he was part of the trade out. I think that's the problem, though. I think the retread is going to be difficult just because you can't get rid of Teddy. It's going to be harder to get rid of Teddy than it is of Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan's making $40 million a year.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Matt Ryan still shows that he has the ability to play a quarterback position.
Right.
That's just the reality of it. I mean, Calvin Ridley had a hell of a year this year. I mean, and you have to have a quarterback to throw it to you. He's got the quarterback's there. He's just, some people would question his clutch gene. What I would say is, and I think this is a more relevant question, is what is too much in your opinion, Cody, to trade up? Like what would be a too high of a price for you to trade? Like if you found out that we turned down a trade offer that like somebody was saying, we need this, this, and this, what would that look like for you to be okay with us not trading up?
So you mean, wait, so you're saying
I don't even think there's anything, CK. I don't think the answer is anything given his damn.
Yeah, nothing's too expensive for this guy. Nothing's too expensive for this guy.
Honestly, as simple as it sounds, like if you don't have a quarterback, you need to fucking move heaven and earth to see it done. And yeah, like I'm willing to pay. And I know that a lot of people freaked out about my 2 years of draft picks. That was very contingent upon a lot of different things that have changed now. I'm not saying that that's what the Panthers should do now. Yeah. What I am saying, though, is that, dude, I'm willing to pay to play, man. If the Panthers have to give up meaningful first and second round draft capital
how many years
in this and next year's draft, I'm willing to do it potentially even into a third year, depending on what that on what that looks like. I am okay with the Carolina Panthers doing what is necessary to get their guy, man. Like, especially if it's Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. Like, dude, that could be a franchise saver for us. That entices people to want to come here. Like what I'm telling you about with the Chargers and the Texans. You know, if you have a young quarterback on a rookie contract that shows a hell of a lot of promise, people want to come and play with that player.
Not necessarily. Nobody ever can. Nobody ever can. I mean,
we had a general manager and we had a football team that didn't even have the financial means to be able to sign those.
That's the key. It's got to be a perfect storm.
Hold on. You guys got to keep in mind, David Gettleman was the general manager during some of Cam's best years, and we still didn't get some of those big free agency signings.
Exactly. Carolina's not a big spot
in the Giants. He signed James Bradbury. He's gotten big names out there. You know,
people don't want to come to Carolina.
I don't think it's about the GM. I think the GM is an impact. I think that you're right. I think the quarterback is a big part of it, and whether there's a winning culture. But I think the location is more important. You're not as valuable as a player in Carolina.
I could not disagree with you more. If you are Stephon Diggs or some badass player, why do you give a damn where the meteoric
endorsements
located is?
Endorsements.
Okay, all right.
How make more money off endorsements than they do in their contract, dude.
How big of a market is Green Bay? Greg. How big
huge,
of a market?
Huge. Are you kidding me? Aaron Rodgers is on national commercials, buddy. How many national commercials do Carolina players have?
It doesn't matter.
That's only because he's Aaron Rodgers, not
you're
because
you're going to lose that argument about Green Bay's market.
If you're if you are a transcendent football talent, the market in which you play football means fuck all, bro.
Disagree.
No, it doesn't. Totally, 100% disagree, dude. Sorry.
Free agents do take into consideration the city, the things and we don't like to think about these things because we act like all they are is fucking sports robots. But it's true.
Right, but they've got to live here.
It's like they want to live at the beach. They want to have it where the girls are at. I tell you this, places that are not attractive, Minnesota, right? Buffalo, arguably. The only
do they sign any big free agents?
And they were that was a trade. That wasn't like Diggs was just signed to a free agent deal.
Right.
Those are things here. I would say look at basketball as a good example of this.
Does Toronto ever sign a big free agent in basketball?
Want to go and play. Now, there are times where this is negated. There are times when that's negated. When like New England. Right. Actually, if you're a free agent, you don't want to go play for New England. They don't give you no fucking money, and they kick you to the road at any 2 seconds. What about your Jags podcast?
Dude, Z-Bird every day in the chat. That's my friend. They understand, man. If we were good, the national attention is going to find you.
I agree.
No matter where you are.
That's not true. How many national commercials did Luke Kuechly have?
Okay, it doesn't matter.
How many national commercials did Cam Newton have?
He's not.
How many national commercials did Cam Newton have?
He had the Oikos.
Name one national commercial.
You have Oikos and Under Armour.
Okay, so for a deodorant and a yogurt. So he had 2 commercials for a deodorant.
Under Armour is not a deodorant. Under Armour is like a major clothing brand. They're like Nike.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
But here's what I'm trying to the point that I think is important to make is we're arguing the location, right? If you have a choice as a free agent to go to a Kansas City, right? You're going to say, well, they're not the biggest market. They're much bigger than Carolina. They're a much bigger market than Carolina. They have a much
I don't know if that's really true anymore. I think that
no. Listen. Market is not about how big the current location is. It's about how big your fan base is. That is the market. That we are a small market
that's
team.
An old team. Yeah, but we're getting bigger though. I think we got to stop.
Getting bigger, yes.
I think we got to stop honing in on. I think Carolina has gone from a small market to a middling market, right? is that look,
Maybe.
Charlotte's a great place to live.
It is.
Everybody
I love
wants to go
Charlotte.
live.
Yeah, I wanna
like
retire
it
there.
is one
Yeah,
of
I
the
love
fastest growing cities. So the city is not a determinant.
I live here.
Right,
I love
the
it.
city is not a detriment or like deterrent. The other thing is I will say that look, we are finally hitting people on this podcast. I mean, look, Cody, how old are you? 29?
I will be 31 in February.
31. Okay, so you're young, so you look young. You look young. You look good. You look a good looking 31. But all you guys are like a decade younger than me, basically. And I'm gonna turn 40 this year. But some of these, we've got fans now that, you're around my age.
I'm right there with you.
But there's a lot of fans that have come up now that have. I remember when the Panthers weren't a team. Right,
yes,
so you had to cheer for another team, or
you had to
didn't
cheer for
watch
the Redskins or the
football,
Falcons,
or something. Yeah. You didn't, whatever it was. You picked a team based off of like I rooted for the Giants because my family's from New York, and like that was it. It was like I have no idea why. It's just because my mom is from Queens, so I was like, well, I might as well pull for a New York team. I was a Rangers fan, so it was just like kind of a coalescence of New York teams, but. We're getting into generational fans now. So the Panthers are swelling. I think the small market thing is going to be sort of a thing of a past. I think if you go and look at the Panthers social media, our Twitter, the Panthers Twitter account is just as big as some of these big markets. So that's interesting to me. Now, I think that says something about us having a young fan base, right? Is that we do not have the generational, like where my grandfather was a Panthers fan, but it's on the way. What was very big from us getting out of that small market funk was Cam Newton. Cam Newton was the first step out of that small market funk.
Yes.
He was our first superstar. Yes, you can argue that we had a star in Steve Smith. We did. But he was kind of like a homegrown small treasure that nobody appreciated as much as we did.
Similar to Julius Peppers.
Even Luke Kuechly was not of look, Cam Newton is like Donald Trump and Barack Obama. And that is, you know what? Even when he's not even part of the conversation, he's still polarizing, and that was good for us. He put us on the map, and I would say, and we don't need ESPN's approval anymore. I do think we're growing, so I think that's going to be a kind of a bygone of the past, but I don't think we're out of it yet. Right, because Greg's right. Is like here is that you want to go and do a commercial for a car dealership in New York City versus one in Jacksonville, it's going to be a different story. You know what I'm saying? And those are some of the small things. And people want to live in the city. Think about like the Mets in the 80s with Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden. Go and watch Doc and Darryl, like that what is it? The 30 for 30 mess. And these guys are like, we just like went out, dude. We're like from the country and we went into the city and it was like, party all the time. I don't know if the current athlete is so attracted to that as much as they were 20 years ago. But I think we're on our way out of that, like out of the small market. I think we're mid-market. I think we compete now with some of the teams we didn't before.
I agree with everything Tony said. My point is this, though. When you become a contender, players go where they have potential to win Super Bowls.
Yes.
If the Carolina
that's how you
Panthers,
break out of that.
So by the way, you're killing all the birds with one stone. You're building your own fan base. You're building your media market because, like I said, Charlotte is the fastest growing city in all the Southeast. So it is a growing market that's only getting bigger. That is a hub for the banking industry. Bank of America is everywhere in Charlotte. If we have a legitimate contender with legitimate players and, more importantly, a legitimate franchise quarterback, people are coming to Carolina. It doesn't matter, and nothing else matters.
Well, you want to attract people, you win. You win.
Right.
You become how about this? Nobody wanted to go to Kansas City 5 years ago.
No, no one wants to go to Canada, and it's cold
That's
there.
not true.
How about this?
I disagree with that.
Hold on,
That's
how
not
about
true.
this? I bet you people want to go to Buffalo now.
Dude, they
When
haven't
did they
been in the
ever wanna
Super
fucking
Bowl
go
in
to
40 years.
Not to mention the fact that
Kansas
Buffalo is
City
in
had
goddamn
not been in a
New York,
Super
of
Bowl
course.
since
I mean,
1965
It's a frigid
or
hell,
something.
Greg.
huh?
It's a frigid hell, Greg.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Oh, it's not
It's
cool.
a frigid hell when
You
you're
ever
playing a
been to
game
Kansas
one day
City?
a week.
But
You're playing a game one day a
see-
week. The rest of the time you're indoors training, and the rest of the time you're out doing whatever
Have you
you
ever
want to
been
do
to
in New
Buffalo?
York. Come on,
Have
man.
you ever been to Buffalo?
Pay me $10 million. I'll play in the snow for 4 hours,
right.
one day a week.
Okay, if
and then
the
party the rest of my
financial, we
life
got to
in New
get
York,
through these.
okay?
We got to keep going
Just-
with the calls.
I'll
I do
take
want to.
that. I'm so sorry for those guys. I'll take that. No problem.
But that's my point. They're gonna go.
Well, the question is
because
are you talking about?
I make $45,000 a year, but you know what I'm saying? The average NFL player is not the same way.
Let me
But
give you
here's-
one
here's the thing
example.
is they don't attract free agents. They don't. Like the best free agent they've gotten in the past 10 years is LaShawn McCoy.
And he was garbage when they got him.
Tyrann Mathieu was a free agent.
And what has Tyrann Mathieu done since he's been there?
Watkins, but was a free
He was
agent.
drafted.
Sammy Watkins was drafted.
He was not
Are you talking about
drafted.
the- I'm
Stephon
talking about the
Diggs
Bills.
wasn't
I'm talking about the
traded for.
Bills. I'm talking about the Bills.
Talking about the Bills. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I'm saying after
Dude, they got
Buffalo
Star
has done this-
Latulele. They got Vernon Butler. They got.
They picked up off three. Yeah.
It doesn't matter now going forward. People will want to play for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
I don't know about that.
Because
I don't
it's
think
New
they're as
York.
attractive as you think. Here,
But you're
I
going
think
to a
this. I
contender
got.
in New York. You're not going to a contender in Charlotte, North Carolina. Sorry.
I got one question or one thing to think about. I'm going to play the next call. Think about this, though. If financial considerations are so important for free agency, why don't more people go to Florida? No state income tax. Why do people go to California where you're going to get taxed out the wazoo?
That's why a lot of NBA players want to go to Texas teams because there's no state taxes there. Texas and Florida teams.
Yeah, but you want to go to where you're going to win, though.
Yeah.
Over all of
LeBron James
No, I mean,
didn't go back
Cody,
to Miami.
How many people left the New England Patriots to chase money?
Right, Cody. I think you have this notion that everybody that plays in the NFL is playing because they love this they can, no matter where it goes, and don't give a damn if they're winning or not.
Good
And
call.
I'm
All
willing to
right, let's
bet
go to the calls.
85 to 90% of players that play are that way.
All right.
I'm sorry
I mean,
to
it
say
is.
this.
You got to get your money while you can. I don't blame anybody for signing the
You gotta get money
paycheck.
while you can. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
Next
willing to
call.
bet you most players play for money than play for wins. Sorry,
All right.
it's the way it
Next
works.
call. We've had perfect
Hey
streaming
guys,
now.
this is Chuck from Elizabeth City.
What's up, Chuck?
First and foremost,
In the camera,
being first of a couple calls a day, I just kind of it's got a lot on my mind with a football team. But I did want to take time to say that 2020 was a great year, even though the pandemic struck us. I just want to let Tony, you, and Cody, and the whole gang know that I really have enjoyed listening to the podcast. It's been one of the highlights of the football season. The insight, being in Elizabeth City, if you guys were like in one central location, I'd love to hang out with you guys and have a few brews. But just want to let you know how much I appreciate the podcast and just the loyalty to the team and just the insight. You guys have been great. We might disagree on some things, but we definitely, for the most part, have the same interest in mind with the Panthers. And one thing I'm waking up this morning and finding I want to talk about, it doesn't surprise me, but we all have been talking about it lately, is Joe Brady as a head coach. You already got 3 teams interested, and all 3 of them have a good quarterback. Atlanta would really hurt because of Matt Ryan, and just the fact of being a division rival, that would suck. Houston, of course, with Deshaun Watson, he could go down there and kind of start fresh. Who could mess that job up after Butchin was the coach and general
Amen
manager?
to that.
To me, that's the ideal place to go. And then you got the Chargers with Herbert.
That's where I would want to go.
3 good quarterback
Good
situations
defense.
from Brady. And I think for some reason, something tells me we're probably going to lose the guy, and I hate it. But Bridgewater was so pedestrian this year and sucked so bad. I think he really held our team back. I saw the defense progressing. and the offense just kind of stayed stagnant. And I feel bad for the receivers we had. Like you guys said, you get feeling bad for them because they'd be open and the ball would be off or not getting thrown to. And that is the biggest deficiency, other than tired Whitehead that we had at linebacker, which kind of solved that issue to a point. And as bad as the offensive line has been, how bad it can be when we could have scored on some drives if it wasn't for some blatant interceptions, some overthrows, and just some times where he didn't even throw to an open man. But anyway, that's the first of a couple calls I'll probably have today. But the Joe Brady thing, I'm kind of shocked that it was so soon. But at the same time, it makes a lot of sense. Teams have a really good quarterback to keep them happy.
It's a meteoric rise. It's a meteoric rise, and what a crazy world we live in a way. But I guess good news for Joe Brady if it happens. If not, his hat is in the ring, and that will just help him if he continues to build his resume successfully. I want to thank you, Chuck, for the contributions you've made to this podcast. You've given us some fantastic calls over the last 2 months, and we're glad to have you part of the community. And I wish we were all closer together, to be honest. You could probably hang out with CK. Elizabeth City is probably closer to CK than anybody.
I'm not sure. Where about is Elizabeth City?
I think it's aren't you from Roanoke Rapids?
No, Roanoke, Virginia.
Elizabeth City?
Roanoke, yeah, I think it's in the Northeast. So I will tell you this. We're going to have
I'm like an hour away from Greensboro.
Okay, maybe you're not close to him. I will tell you this, Chuck. We'll have that beer together one day on my way to Busch Gardens with the kids. When the pandemic's over, I will stop in Elizabeth City on the way to Busch Gardens, and we'll have that beer.
Or if I blow up in this streaming, I'll just pay for everybody to have season passes or season tickets, and we'll just come down on the podcast and come down to.
I like that one.
I like that better. That sounds way cooler than me spending my money at Busch Gardens.
Hey, could you hurry up and blow up already? Jeez.
He is blowing up, dude.
Yeah, I know, right? Congrats to him. By the way, Chuck was in our chat room tonight, man. So shout out to Chuck from Elizabeth City. Man, look, we love you guys, man. All of you that call in and tell us that. I say those are by far my favorite messages. Hearing from y'all, telling us about how we're a part of your football routine and that you love to hear us talk. Man, I love sitting here talking about it. That's why I say in my intro, there's nothing I'd rather do on a Tuesday night than sit here with my boys and bullshit about the Panthers and scream on the internet. So if you love it, I love it, man. I'm hoping to keep on doing it with y'all and for y'all.
We're not going to quit. And I tell you this, I've said it a lot on the podcast. My wife has been infuriated by being stuck at home because of the podcast, right? I mean, not because of the podcast, because of the pandemic. And she's like, they would have these nights that they were trying to get together with her friends and have online cocktail party, this and that. She's like, I got to go see my friend. I was like, dude, on Tuesdays, I hang out with my best friends, all 80 of us up here. And on Fridays, I go on the radio. My life is straight, yo. Pandemic life is for me. Except for I am really overweight and sleep in way too much. 252-228-5098.
Panther Nation, how y'all doing? It's G of RCA. Hey,
what up, G?
If y'all ain't talked about it already, what the hell is this shit? They talking about Joe Brady is getting head coaching offers from the Texans.
Thank you,
and all
G.
these
He's
other
going where
guys.
I'm going with this.
Look,
Thank
man,
you.
This is first year, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on now, y'all. I mean, give this dude a damn chance, man. I think with a new quarterback, the offense will be off the damn chain. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? And this draft coming up, I don't know who the hell we going to take. Like I told you, in my dream scenario, some way, somehow, we can get Watson from the Texans. I don't know how. You know what I'm saying? But I want that to happen, man. And a tight end that can actually catch, that is used. Because, you know, Joe Brady, his offense, you know, doesn't really use tight ends. It doesn't seem no way to me. Give me your thoughts on that, y'all. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, man. Listen, I I want Joe Brady to be the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers another year, man. Like I said, it's going to be the most Panther thing to ever happen if we have a really good offensive coordinator that we wasted him on fucking Teddy Bridgewater, and then he goes off and has a ton of success with some other football team. Like, dude, come on. That's just a stake in the heart, man. So I want him to be a Carolina Panther next year, but kind of like how Chuck and Elizabeth City was saying, man, and like I spelled out earlier, and as Tony said, a lot of these opportunities don't just fall in your lap very often. You know, Justin Herbert coming off of his rookie year in the NFL, where he lit all the rookie records on fire. I mean, come on. And they have a ton of defensive talent. Joey Bosa, Derwin James. I mean, listen, they're loaded. That's why I'm not confident that Joe Brady is going to be our offensive coordinator. I don't think he will be.
Shout out to Brandon Peters with a $2 super chat. He said we have 4 1,000-yard players. That's impressive. Right.
But here's my question. Why we were on the bottom half of the league in offense?
Because of Teddy, man. I mean, we all
But I mean, you can talk about Teddy, but I mean, that's also an extension of Joe Brady. That's what I'm saying.
I think it is. I agree. I understand. Like, it's not an accolade, right, when it comes to it. But I do think this is that one of the reasons those guys had so many yards is I think it kind of tells you a lot about that pass heavy, use the pass as a run. You know, is that these guys, I mean,
short pass,
yeah, and so those are things that Teddy could do. I mean, that's it.
Let me ask you, Cody, you sent a video out and I didn't get to watch it. Why don't you highlight what the reason is that Joe Brady should be a head coach this year?
Should be a head coach this year? I mean, listen, so one, I don't know the guy. So I really don't know that he should or shouldn't. Like, it's so easy for us to say, oh, okay, well, he's 31 years old, so he doesn't have what it takes to be a coach. Fine. Maybe that's true, but maybe it isn't true. You know, there's a lot of things that we just don't know about the man personally. I do think, listen, I agree with you and Greg for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think that he does need some time left to cook and build all of the traits that is required to be a good head coach in the NFL. I'm 100% on board with that. What I'm saying is the allure for a football team, potentially picking out on their young guy that they're going to be able to have as their play caller with their star quarterback going forward for the future, that all of those things that you said about our passing stats and how bad they were, that's not enough of a roadblock for these teams to say, oh, well, we don't want to do it anymore because the Carolina Panthers offense, they ranked really bad last year. So therefore, that's who Joe Brady is. Like, they're going to look at the context. They're going to look at Teddy Bridgewater. They're going to look at what our receivers were able to do, even in spite of Teddy Bridgewater. And they're going to say, yeah, we have something here that we can build on around Joe Brady.
But at the same time, they can't say that it was just something that's irreplicable.
Yeah, irreplicable. Right? That's a good point to that as well. But what I was going to say is, aren't they also going to look at that offense and say, we didn't see anything exceptional either? Like, we saw a middle of the pack offense, and the offensive coordinator didn't elevate his quarterback play. Like, he didn't. Like, he didn't make the team better because he was the offensive coordinator.
There was no way for him to do so.
But what I'm saying is he has no proof, and there is no context that we can draw from to show that Joe Brady has the ability to elevate a team to be a contender. There is no evidence.
He's something that you just can't get somewhere else. Right, that's the other
there
question.
There is some evidence. I mean, not to the level that you're talking about, but that
not
LSU
even close, Cody. Not even close. And you can't even give him. He was a passing coordinator and third down coordinator. Come on, he wasn't even the coordinator. I think you almost give him too much credit for that LSU offense.
Listen, it doesn't. Listen, they give him credit for that. Whether you want to give him the credit or not, it doesn't matter. Everyone else does. And by the way, so hold on.
Okay.
Even so he was the co-offensive coordinator at LSU. The other old dude that they had that was the co-offensive coordinator, he had been at LSU for a number of years. Okay, that passing attack did not jump until Joe Brady was implemented into that system. On top of the fact, they know that he had learned under Sean Payton for a number of years.
For 1 year.
Whatever. And all of those things on top of each other, that is going to be enough for teams to look at and say, yeah, I like what this guy has the potential to do, even though their offense was meandering this year.
Wouldn't you say, though, like if you're talking about, they're going to look at the context and they're going to see that he had a meandering quarterback and all that. Wouldn't they also be smart enough to look at the context and say that there is no evidence showing otherwise either?
No,
like
they're not smart. CK, they're not smart, though. This is a thing, and this is actually what's going in favor of Joe Brady, is that right now, no, it's about fashionable, and a lot
Marketing,
of these things is like what is fashionable at the time. That's why you see when there's one. That's why, you know what, the Panthers fake punted a couple of times this year, and then you saw every team in the fucking league doing it. It is a copycat league, and what it is this, is that we're in a cycle right now that benefits Joe Brady. And I agree with you, Cody, is that I'm not trying to take away the LSU thing, right? His name is on it, it's on the resume, and it's a positive component of the resume. I just feel like we act like he was a mastermind so much, maybe a little bit too much. I also think that they're going to look at the context of this offense, like you said, is that it has not been anything fantastic, but it has been another positive tick on the resume. Where Joe Brady is really benefiting is, like you said, is that we are in a cycle now. You call it the Sean McVay effect. I call it the count. I don't have a name for it, but I'm going to make it up right now. Is that we were in a head coach retread cycle for so long, right? It was just the same coaching carousel of names everywhere. And you know what? It's like finally a couple of teams had the one team, maybe the Rams did it with McVay, and then you see other teams doing it, Packers. Then you see the Bengals. The Bengals, nobody even knows who the fuck their coach is. Nobody knows who he is. I swear.
Is that Taylor, I think?
Yeah, whoever he is. The Cliff Kingsbury, right? We're now in a time where and Mike McCarthy has probably put the nail in the coffin for the coach retread for a while.
But don't you think that Ron Rivera might have taken that nail out of the coffin?
No, they only won 5 games.
As successful this year as he was last year.
Yeah,
but
they
think of it from this perspective, though.
Shit.
He came in with a shit quarterback situation, and he still won their division. Granted, a shitty division. He came in there and he won, and he beat some big names. He beat the Steelers, who were undefeated at the time.
I don't think that he negates that. I don't think he's enough. I think Mike McCarthy killed the retread. If anything, I do think there's one name out there.
You got to look at the other context of that too.
Cody's going to vomit when I say this, but I think Jason Garrett is a realistic head coach. Like, he could be a decent head coach. He made a lot out of nothing with Dallas in a bad situation all the time. I think, if anything, Jason Garrett is the retread coach I would be interested in if I was the Chargers.
Garrett to be the head coach of this team?
No, not now. I'm happy with our coaching. What I'm saying is this. If there's one coach right now that has been a former head coach that I think could be a good head coach still, I think Jason Garrett was a good head coach. He had a good winning percentage. He dealt with fucking Jerry Jones. He dealt with his offenses were always.
Jones is a great GM, y'all. I'm sorry.
No, he's not.
Dude, he has the most Pro Bowl players drafted in the last 10 years.
But you got to remember, there's a lot of voting by the public that goes into that as well, and they have one of the biggest fan bases.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's the one who makes the decision. He's the one who signs the players, and they sign the players there. It is coaching that is a bad problem in Dallas.
Let's just say
Jerry
this
Jones
is
a great GM. He drafts great players.
And it never builds a Super Bowl team in the past.
Because they have bad coaching.
Years.
Dude,
that's on him. If
you have a team every year that's 7-9, but you have 5 Pro Bowlers, then you're drafting right.
That's on him, Greg. If you're a general manager, then you have to sign the coaches.
You're right. I'll give you that. You're right.
So, yeah, like it's. I mean, but I have a question for CK real quick.
Yeah.
So CK, to put devil's advocate here. Why is the context behind Ron Rivera's season a positive for him and hiring a retread head coach, but the context doesn't matter enough to get Joe Brady hired as head coach?
Because they are succeeding in certain areas where they were not before. We are not succeeding in areas we were not before.
The same amount of games
against the dumpster fire division, against a division.
No. They beat the Steelers, who was considered a top team. I mean, I'm not saying they're great, but you got to also keep in mind they're winning. They won more games than we did last year, and they still had the same shitty quarterback situation than we do. They had less star players than we did. Right?
Washington was a perfect place for Rivera. Washington was a perfect place for Rivera. A guy who has dealt with an owner that is a dick face. Well, if anything, it's perfect. Ron Rivera, we've said he was going to be perfect for the Washington football team. They are the 2013 Panthers. That's what they are. They're the 2013 Panthers without Cam. So the number's 252-228-59. We got a lot of calls, man. So we better go.
What is up, C3 fam? It's your boy Josh from Mass. I'm calling from the past. I'm calling from 2020, and I know you ain't gonna hear this till 2021. But if you're getting this message, Marty. Oh wait, no, never mind. He's been fired. Never mind, Marty. Whoever our new GM is, we must take a quarterback, and we must lose to the Saints. We cannot have won that game.
This is the call I missed that he's been giving me shit about.
All right, now that we got that nonsense out of the way. We all know I love the show. Everybody knows I love the show. Most of us here are here because we love the show. Can we stop with the bickering over Christian McCaffrey and his goddamn contract, Because it don't matter how much we all talk about it, or y'all talk about it, or people call about it, or how much we argue in the chat room about it. It don't make a goddamn lick of difference. That is a done and over deal. Show's
that
over.
is true.
Time to speculate, pontificate, matriculate, masticate, and eliminate on what else we were going to talk about.
Don't masticate on this show, please.
Another.
This goes to. I want to point out this, Josh. You talked about Cam for like 2 years.
Again, hoping that you're hearing this after we've lost to the Saints. But man, you can't tell me that Ron Rivera didn't intentionally throw that game to mess up our chances. He knows. You think he wants good things for this franchise after they moved on from him? Hell no. He's like, look at this Dwayne Haskins kid. I'm going to put his ass out there. And he's going to be fucking terrible. And he was fucking terrible. But I'm hoping that when y'all hear this, we've lost and a couple other teams ahead of us in the draft have won, and we could have maybe moved ourselves
This
up,
didn't age well.
back up a little bit. It'd be real great. Because I can't do this petty shit for much longer, This shit is terrible.
It
terrible.
is, man.
And dude, I thought y'all go back. Listen, the day we signed that fucking turd master, that fucking piece of shit, I called in and I was losing my goddamn mind then, and my mind is done with lost. And I'm hoping maybe we can draft a quarterback, so then there's a chance that I can find it. Because this shit is madness. Man, I'm out of time. Goddamn, maybe give us 4 minutes. All right. Happy New Year, y'all. Josh from Mass signing out.
Grandma Tony
doing
gonna
timer
meet
while
you
he
on the
goes,
basketball court, money bags. I'll meet you on the basketball court, homie. I had something to say about Josh from Mass and Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think it. I would say this. I saw a couple of tweets from Julian Council. Did you see and I don't know, I think he works with WFNZ or for the Charlotte Observer. I don't know where he is, but he's got something to do with Charlotte media. I like him. I ain't got no problem with Julian Council. But he went on this kind of like this moment where he was like, man, nobody gave Teddy a fucking chance. All y'all did was rag his ass, but you wanted to make Kyle Allen a franchise quarterback. I think that's a distortion of the way that people looked at any of that. Is nobody, you go back and look at this podcast, nobody's saying here Kyle Allen is going to be the truth. Bro, we were all like, we want Cam, we're worried about his long-term health. Is Cam done? Questions, not in Kyle Allen we trust. Yes, there was white Ford F-150 Twitter that was Kyle Allen into it. But I would say, if anything, there was a strong component of anti-cammers that jumped on the Teddy Bridgewater bandwagon from the beginning. Right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of it. In fact, we were called haters. We were called
Bad
Cam.
Fans. We weren't real fans, Tony, because we refused to cheer for old Teddy Pisswater. And you know what? Now it's kind of like, to me, the shoe's on the other foot. Like, now you look like the tool. If you threw your undying allegiance behind this guy that has never proven to be a franchise quarterback, and like, yeah, man.
I got 5 on it.
Yeah,
Hey,
I was about to say there
what?
was plenty of people that gave Teddy his due, bro.
And
I got 5
don't
on
understand. Listen, you can be a fan of the team. That doesn't mean that you have to endorse and co-sign every decision that the team makes, especially if when they make that decision, it runs up against all your common senses. Like, wait a minute, we signed who? For what? For how fucking long? Like, you're allowed to do that. You don't have to be these loyal to a fault fans that accept whatever the Panthers
is short for fanatic, right?
Yes.
And I have always said on this show that we're fans talking about the team. We're not reporting the news. We're commenting on it, right? And people who get angry about something are just as fans. I've never liked the real fan discussion. I've never enjoyed, oh, well, I'm a real fan, you're not a real fan. Because then I would be like, well, I've got a podcast for 8 years. None of you are real fucking fan. No, all I do is watch the game and talk shit with y'all. I'm no more of a fan or no less of a fan than and now there are casual fans who don't keep up with it. There are people who are like ridiculous fans like us, where it's like we're looking at every press conference, every whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like, that's us hanging on every word. That's just because I've diverted my life away from I've stopped fucking talking politics. Dude, I teach history for a living. Right? I have been so into politics and government. I wrote my master's dissertation on the philosophy of governmental theory for America. Like, I was interested, but I've been so fatigued by that shit. It's so easy for me to just say, fuck the Falcons, dude. It makes me feel good. You know, in fact, I came out, my wife is making fun of me coming out of the what's the shit that you get, the anesthesia? I had the Mac. So, by the way, Michael Jackson was onto some shit with that.
I told you, man.
That propofol sleep is the dope sleep, bro. I came out of that feeling like $1,000,000 fucking bucks. I thought I had slept for like 2 days, homie, and I had been out for like 45 minutes. A little teak of fentanyl with it. Woo-wee.
Didn't I tell you that like there's a trend of people that are like, "Oh, I'm down for a surgery, brother." Fuck yeah, man.
Dude, the
Sign up for
propofol
that shit.
nap was dope. But this I'll tell you, this is funny, and you guys will like this because I don't want to argue about Donald Trump. I think they're just clowns at this point. But I was so into like thinking I knew what was right in the world, this and that. My wife goes, she came into the room, because they hold you for observation. You're coming out of it. And she was like, all you kept saying was you forgot to ask them if they were a Saints fan before they operated on you. And I just was like, I don't want no Saints fan operating on me.
That's
Dude.
a legit question, though. That's a legit fucking question, though.
All right, 25222. Okay.
I wanted to highlight one comment. Supreme Leader said we went from Dr. Pepper, Cam, to Mr. Pibb, Teddy.
True that. 21 flavors, not 23. 252-228-5098.
So Josh from Mass again, and I almost forgot about this, but I just had to call and say something. Yo, y'all coming out with this fucking fake fans bullshit because there's some of us who've been around long enough to know and understand the way the NFL works to know that, like, the pillar of a franchise is your quarterback. It's one of the pillars you build on. We need that. We need that. It has to happen. It is part of the deal. All right? This is the year to do it. You don't wait till next year. You don't wait till the year after. You don't, well, let's use Teddy with a full on. No, sit down and shut the fuck up. Y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, you're a fake fan. Motherfucker, fake fan? Been pulling for this team since I was 8 years old when they became a team. Fake fan? Drove down to Charlotte twice and watched this team lose twice. Didn't leave early. Nope. And it was raining for one of them games. We were losing in prime time on television in one of those games. It was Cam Newton's last game and a fucking Panthers uniform. So miss me with the fake fan bullshit. When I played football, I'd wear Panther jerseys at practice and got made fun of and harassed for it because other kids either didn't know who the team was or we were just bad. Miss me with the fake fan shit. Or if you really want to fucking rumble, come on up to Mass. Come on up to Mass. I'll show you how it's done. Oh, that's right.
I agree.
The fucking keyboard warriors.
Well,
y'all a bunch of fake fans is what I think it is. I think we got a bunch of 2015 vintage bandwagon riding motherfuckers who don't know shit about football, they don't know shit about the NFL, and they're just, 5 wins is better than 4. Oh. Fuck you people. Fuck y'all. Because you don't know what the fuck it means. You're content watching this team go fucking 5 wins for 3-4 years in a row? Fuck that shit. Fuck that. Time to start building something real.
You got angry.
I feel the same way.
Start building a championship caliber team. And some of the fucking signs are already there. One of the biggest, most important pieces that we need is undeniably, undoubtedly quarterback. And if you disagree with that notion, that's fine. That's your opinion. Just know that you're wrong. The answer is not on this roster. It's not in this locker room, but it is in the draft. So yeah, losing out is the better way to do it. Or you fucking trade tons of draft capital, which jeopardizes the future even more. But again, I'm a fake fan, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? Morons.
No, I don't agree with the fake fan stuff. So you hate, like, you can be mad. Like, you know what the worst thing is for a fan base not to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I'll just say this. I don't have a lot to say on this other than I do think there is a little bit of that sunken place. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie, but there's this sunken place kind of vibe with a lot of Panther fans, man, where they're just used to accepting the mediocre bullshit because that's their Panthers and they love the football team. And we were a small market team that damn near didn't even deserve the team in the first place. So it's like whatever's clever, they're down for it. And, you know, I think you made the comment, Tony, that's kind of reflected in our media. Like our media
Oh, it
doesn't
totally is.
go
They're nice.
hard.
They're nice as fuck to every.
Yeah,
They
right. And I think that,
and it's almost a Southern thing. I feel like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, cause we are like on the opposite side of the coin. New York and them are like the opposite. Like they're so fucking brutal.
Philadelphia.
I mean, it's just like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right. So, and to our discussion earlier, that's why you would actually pick a small market over a bigger market. Also,
Yeah. Oh, I think about Shaq Thompson. How Shaq Thompson would fare this year if he was a fucking New York Giant.
Or a Philadelphia Eagle? Yeah,
Oh,
dude, that would have
God.
been fucking terrible, bro.
All right,
Terrible.
let's go to the next call. And there are no fake fans. You're a real fan. That's it. Everybody's a real fan. Because this, I just think it's a stupid conversation. And not your comment, Josh. But, like, I hate that. I hate the guilt trip. Like, you know what I also hate is I get pissed. It's like, I'm a PSL member, so I'm more of a fan than you. No, you're not. Dude, you live in Charlotte and you got money. Right? Is that like,
Yeah,
I just don't like it, man. I'll take any fan. I will take a casual fan. You know what? If I say this, is that unless your ass is standing up and cheering at a football game, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. Like, you're going to come with me and you're going to get asked. Ask Mama Dean how I roll to a damn football game. I go dressed up as Mama Cam. Look, I'm dressed as Mama Cam right now. 252-228-5098.
Hey, I'm listening to your Panthers of Washington podcast, and I was just thinking, there's not really, out of the four quarterbacks that y'all keep talking about, Justin Fields is not an NFL caliber quarterback.
This is for you,
He's
bro.
the most underwhelming quarterback that I've seen in the Big Ten in a very long time, maybe outside of that kid that went and played tight end at Minnesota or wherever the fuck it was. Anyway, Justin Fields, not an exciting quarterback. He's not going to be good in the NFL. He makes poor decisions even against bad teams. The only teams that he had a win against this year, outside of Clemson, were non-top 10 teams. I mean, they went 6-0, but none of them were top 10. Now, Clemson dropped the ball whenever they played them. They did not play well. Trevor Lawrence looked like he had actually been exposed. Fair to say that Clemson probably hasn't really played anybody else either. Looking at their schedule, I think there's only 2 or 3 top 10 teams, and maybe even 2 or 3 ranked teams. This quarterback draft,
say that about all of them.
sure. But to be completely realistic, the win is good because it shows us that a young team and a young defense can step up late in the season. It's going to be a good team for a long time, and I don't think people really are really taking that in. I was upset that we won. I wish we would have lost. But then going back, looking at how Matt Rhule handled it in his press conference and how he was talking about it, it makes a lot more sense for us to win now because Trey Lance is probably going to be the best quarterback out of all of them. Maybe Zach Wilson, but I do not think that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are going to be the best quarterbacks in this draft. That might bite me in the ass, sure. But I thought the same thing about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, coming in even before he got hurt, was not the best quarterback because Justin Herbert was blowing him out of the water. And we can get rid of, if we don't draft a quarterback, Houston doesn't have a first-round pick. Teddy Bridgewater, a first round and like a second round, maybe.
If you say Deshaun.
A great trade for the Deshaun Watson. So,
dude.
Those are just my thoughts. Enjoying the podcast.
Listen, respect to this guy's call. I forget his name, but dude, I have a hard time listening to that type of shit, man. Because I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you, man. That kind of mindset is so far attached from reality. It's insane, dude. Like, okay, one, if you don't believe in Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, I think you're insane, but that's fine. You're allowed to do that. But to then go with this notion that, like, winning that football game was good because it showed us who Matt Rhule is all about, like, that's all absolute nonsense. And then on top of that, like, you do this thing where you're saying, oh, but they didn't play anybody. They didn't beat anybody. Yeah, but there are numerous examples of quarterbacks that played for lower level football teams that turned it on in the NFL. Okay, when Aaron Rodgers played at Cal, was he playing the best teams over there in the Pac-12? No. Was Josh Allen? No. How many good teams did Justin Herbert play? Not a ton. Like, whenever I hear people say this, you're judging the helmet and not the player. You're not judging their film. You're not looking at what they do. You're just trying to have a reactionary opinion. And then I'll top it off with this. All of these dumb trade scenarios of, let's trade Teddy Bridgewater and a 1 and a 2 for Deshaun. Do you know how fucking dumb that shit sounds? Do you have no idea how valuable the quarterback position is? More importantly, how valuable Deshaun Watson is? Come on, bro. We're going to have to trade a fuckload of picks to get Deshaun Watson. You're not getting Deshaun Watson. That is the only good thing about the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson's not going anywhere, especially for Teddy Bridgewater, and not for a running back either in McCaffrey. Like, you live in La La Land. La La Land. And the dog agrees with me.
Next call.
Hey guys, Chuck from Elizabeth City calling. Kind of went through today while I had some time and started looking at this pick at number 8. One thing I'm looking at here is that if Justin Fields played as well as he did, I don't expect him to drop. But if Fields or Wilson drop to 8 or even 7, where we can trade up one spot, maybe
I agree.
Give up the phone, I would grab one of those two. I've watched Trey Lance, and I know he's athletic, but I just, at that level of competition and the chances he had to pass, I'm afraid to pull the trigger on that.
But he went to quarterback
you. If you can get one of these two quarterbacks, I say go for it. If not, take the best defensive player on the board, which is Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State, or shutdown corner, which is 13 from Alabama. If we can't get either one of those, if they're gone and we're sitting at 8, I think that we should trade back to the middle of the first round, pick up a great offensive lineman or best available player, and try to accumulate some picks. And look, I really want to go back and look at the year where we traded with Seattle in the second round to move up 10 spots to get Greg Little, and we ended up giving up another pick, I believe, a third-round pick to Seattle. What have they done with the picks? They moved down 10 spots. What did they get? And then what did they get with our third-round pick? Because no other second, third pick that we got was Will Greer, and that was a wasted pick. I think that was a nail in Honey's coffin, and not this past draft, but the one before. I'm looking at this, though, and I do definitely think as we get into the second or third round, we're going to start looking at linemen and some corners is what we need to focus on.
I think look, there are a lot of holes on this team if your guy's not there. And don't worry, we're going to be highlighting players. Cody does a great job every year of get to better know a Panthers potential draft pick.
You always mess up the name, but it's okay.
It's close enough. I know. I was like, God, that's a really long name, Cody. We got to redo that name. Better know a potential draft pick.
Get to know a potential Panthers draft pick.
It's pretty long.
Make it an acronym.
I know.
GTK.
We'll work on it. It's a work in progress.
But I think here, if anything, what I would like is that if the guy's not there, I am open to the trade back. It's just it never happens. Like, I always hear people talk about trade back. I never seen teams really do it. I mean, a couple of years the Patriots
Kansas City.
The Patriots did it a couple of years. I just don't see it very often. But here's what I actually like about the trade back option. Is that when you accumulate like third and fourth round, second, third, and fourth round picks, I don't really give a fuck about those picks. What I would like to do is accumulate a bunch of those and then package them to move up aggressively for guys that we really like. So, you trade back in the first and you get a second and a third. I don't want both a second and a third. I want to then take those second and thirds and package them together to move into the top of the second, right? Or something like that. And that's where I think the trading back, I do think this, and I think we saw this a lot with, look, Derek Brown has been a great player. I know, or a very good player. He showed a lot of promise for a defensive tackle. We can argue whether or not defensive tackle should be taken in the top 10. We can argue whether or not Derek Brown or Javon Kinlaw, this and that. But here is the thing, is that you could have gotten, you can get a player who's a contributor at 17 as well. And so if that gives you opportunity to get a 17 and a 40 pick, that's interesting to me. That's interesting.
And also normally people aren't willing to jump up a whole lot for a position that isn't a quarterback.
Right.
So, like most of the times people are willing to kind of let them fall. I will say,
offensive linemen, there's been some offensive. Look, the Bills were one team that traded ahead of us to get, and I think we ended up getting our guy, getting Moton though. They traded ahead of us to get somebody. Remember?
Atlanta traded up to get Julio Jones. They traded a lot to get Julio Jones.
Oh yeah.
And we see how that worked out.
All right, let's keep going with the calls.
Hey, fellas, it's Jason calling from Colorado. I just finished listening to, I didn't finish listening to the podcast from for the post game, or from Tuesday. Freaking listening to Cody go on and on about Christian McCaffrey with his slanderous Rush Limbaugh bullshit. I was so fired up. I stopped it and I have to call in because I cannot believe you're a rational person and you make points, you say things that make sense and you're able to support it with evidence, but I didn't hear any of that in this stance. And then your lack of evidence in response, you say that we're just being emotional by saying that C-Mac is worth the money that he's getting paid. We're paying this guy less than Adam Thielen is getting paid, and I have no problem with that. The only reason that you have a problem with that is because it was Marty Herney that did it, and you are poisoned against Marty Herney.
I think he might have struck a chord there. He might have struck a chord there.
He cut him.
Yep.
That's awesome. But you're ready to suck down Ireland's dick over in New Orleans, and he literally just did the exact same thing with Alvin Kamara. They paid him more than any other motherfucker save for one, and that's Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey's our entire red zone offense. Guy cuss like this you said yourself that Derrick Henry is the only running back that you thought would be worth that kind of money. You not only did you rationalized it on your own terms because he is all of their offense. Christian McCaffrey is all of our offense. Even playing 3 games, he's still going to finish with the second most touchdowns on this team. He's our entire red zone offense. There is, you said it yourself in your own terms, but again, I think it's because it was Marty Herney that did it, and you don't like anything that Marty Herney does is a bad decision. I still think
up until
that
2 years ago he did.
Yeah. It was a good signing. But I'm happy to move on from the Herney discussion, but I just had to call in and get on you about C-Mac, and I won't have that shit. I'm so thankful that Tony and Greg were there to call you on that bullshit, and thank you for not letting him off the hook either. You were both fired up too, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for defending reason. C-Mac is our guy. He's worth it. And it's not like we were paying that money to other guys. We have a lot of dead money. We have cap space because there's not a lot of talent on our team. We can afford to pay Christian McCaffrey the best money to be the best player. And that's all I got for you.
You're outnumbered, Cody.
And I'm still about to eat through every fucking one of you.
No, you're not. I'm already asleep, bitch. I already took my propofol.
One. Let's see how far I even get into this discussion before I'm interrupted. I promise you it won't even be a fucking...
It won't be long because I'll interrupt you.
No, but One, you said that I laid out no argument. Let me actually start by saying this. I'm going to piss off Josh from Mass by even talking about this because he was right. It is a moot point. Christian McCaffrey is on the fucking football team and is going to be on the football team. And ultimately, I am happy that we have him. The question was, is Christian McCaffrey worth the number that he is being paid? And the answer is unequivocally no. Christian McCaffrey played all of last season, and we were a 5-11 football team. We played all this season, and he barely played, and our offense ran damn near fine without him.
Now, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. Now you're making excuses. Keep going.
All right. But now listen, we're missing McCaffrey in the red zone. I am not saying that McCaffrey doesn't help us in the red zone. He obviously does. But that does not change the fact that the man is overpaid. He is an overpaid player. And part of the reason our offense is so trash is because of Teddy Bridgewater. And by the way, last year, they had to go to McCaffrey in the end zone because that was our only answer in the red zone.
So imagine if we'd have had Robbie Anderson last year
in the end zone with it passing the football. So I maintain that I'm right. We're paying far too much fucking money for McCaffrey. Yeah, I'm
gonna pull the tape and embarrass you, dude. I'm gonna do it.
Paid Alvin Kamara. I wouldn't have done that either.
You could say he was the assistant GM. He only drafted the great players. He had nothing to do with the contract for Alvin Kamara.
I am not expecting to win anyone over because, like Josh from Mass said, it's a dumb point. McCaffrey is on the team moving forward.
No, your point is dumb. Your point is dumb because it is a mountain out of a molehill. It's a contract out of a molehill. And the whole thing is that it's kind of like, and we'll get this, and we're going to get this like back when we get to the draft. We're going to have a million of these conversations. But it's like, oh, I would take this guy at 47, but not 38. Fuck that. Yeah. Fuck 38. No. Overpay. Right? I mean, is there anything? And sometimes those conversations are real.
Hard to replace.
Right?
Cody. Yeah.
He's not as easily. He's like he is transcendent player, dude.
Cody, when you say that he was replaced, you are merely talking about yards. Imagine our football team this year with 15 more touchdowns. Where would we be?
Think about how many games were within one score.
Imagine if Teddy would have had 30 touchdowns.
I don't want to hear any other context, Cody. I want you to say if we had 15 more touchdowns this year, we would be a 5-11 team.
Grant, didn't you say Kyle Allen and Teddy Bridgewater are the same person? So if McCaffrey wasn't enough for Kyle Allen, why was McCaffrey going to put us over there?
Hey, Cody,
Kyle Allen didn't have Robbie Anderson, did he?
Didn't you just say you liked Joe Brady? Do you not believe that he would have been able to utilize Christian McCaffrey better than he was utilized last year?
Exactly.
Yeah, but not
imagine he would have 4,000 and 4,000.
So you're telling me, hold on, Cody. You're telling me right now that 15 more touchdowns that Christian McCaffrey that was not accounted for with the yards that they covered with the receivers. 15 more touchdowns would not have put us in the playoffs. Because I can go back in 9 games and put one more touchdown on them, and we win those games. So I don't even need 15. And guess what? We win 9 more games. We're a 14-3 team, 14-2 team.
I just don't think. I think it's just. I think this is draft talk, Cody. I think that's the only reason is that is this.
You're going to bring up 3 times. You're going to bring up 3 times. 100%.
Look, can the truth lie somewhere in the middle? Can the truth lie somewhere in the middle?
3 times. Beginning of the season, and Christian McCaffrey only got the chance to drive it in 1 time of those 3. So you can bring those up if you want to. The other 2 times are Cam. You can bring that up if you want to. It does not change. It does not change the fact that we did not make up for the 19 touchdowns Christian McCaffrey scored. How about the fact that what's his name? The Derrick Henry is in consideration for the MVP vote because he's the 8th guy to break 2,000 yards, and Christian McCaffrey was the 3rd guy to have 1,000 and 1,000 with more touchdowns than Derrick Henry has. And he was not
Mike Davis only had 642 yards rushing this year.
I thought he was a 1,000-yard. I thought he was a 1,000-yard player,
With the
Cody.
receiving, I'm
Oh,
thinking.
he
want
is.
you all- I
All
want-
He's a 1,000-yard
purpose.
player. Hold
All
on.
purpose.
I want you all
1,000-yard
to
player.
understand this, that no matter how unpopular this might be, I am telling you that my opinion is not changing on
That's
this.
fine. That's fine. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, though. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, Cody. And what I mean by that is that half of your argument is right. Half of your argument is right. And that is that the running back position is a position that should not be overvalued. Right? Mm-hmm. So we understand that. Right, we get that. Is that if you want to look at an example, look at the Chargers, right? Is you fucking take Melvin Gordon out, you put in whoever. You're right.
Yeah,
is that in some ways is it
like
easier or replaceably? The money usually tells us how important a position is, right?
But see, I disagree.
I do just think that with Christian McCaffrey, he's like an upper echelon of players. So I think is the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Did we maybe percentagely allocate too much to Christian McCaffrey? There could be an argument there. Right. Well, but the idea is that like, what if we would have signed him for $5 million? Would you have been like, oh, well, we could just replace him for $2 million?
If it's no, because $5 million is a bargain for the best running back.
That's right. But that's what I'm saying. We're not really paying a ton. Like I like the Adam Thielen comparison. Would you rather? How about this? Would you rather pay Josh Allen $35 million a year or Teddy Bridgewater $18 million a year? Or would you rather overpay Josh Allen by $5 million? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that really is the argument is that you just overpaid, not that Christian McCaffrey is not a great player. And so at that point, we got to start looking at how much and when. And CK has brought up some good points about this, is that you get an extra year. It's an extension. It's not a new deal entirely. Didn't hit the free agent market. And really, his cap hit is not – we've gotten 2 discount years. Also, we didn't get any play this year. 252, 228. We've wasted a lot of time on this. And Cody is stubborn as a bull.
Yeah.
And, but here's
can I bring up 1 point to him?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Greg. You've been trying to get something in.
1 point real quick, and then CK, you can have it. Cody, I'm looking at teams that have elite running backs that are like CMC level running backs the last few years that decided not to pay him. Pittsburgh with Le'Veon Bell, Dallas with DeMarco Murray, the Eagles with LaShawn McCoy. What happened to those teams after they got rid of those running backs?
They replaced them with running backs that were
horrible.
They were horrible. Produce.
You can't say Zeke Elliott because he was 2 years after DeMarco Murray. You can't say that the Eagles have replaced a running back in LaShawn McCoy. There's no way that they've replaced a running back in Le'Veon Bell.
But they did replace him. No, you can't.
No, they didn't replace him. They didn't even come close.
In 2 years, they drafted Ezekiel Elliott. That's literally my whole point. You are paying for a position.
They also paid Ezekiel Elliott. They also paid Ezekiel Elliott.
What position they drafted Zeke at? What position was Zeke drafted at? What position?
It's easy to do. You're overpaying McCaffrey. I'm done with this fucking question.
Exactly.
I'm not going to make any more arguments about the opinion. But I'm just glad you finally said it was your opinion, because for the past 6 months, you have been saying you're right and everyone's wrong. Now you're finally saying it's your opinion.
It is my opinion.
You gave him the mic back, CK. Why'd you give him the mic back? Shut up.
I am right. Everyone else is wrong.
IMO, right? Isn't that what y'all say? IMO?
IMO. Yeah, IMO.
Yeah, whatever. All right.
I don't know. I'm old.
So. Oh, by the way, Joey the Black Panther, Cody is not walking away from his opinions.
Oh, man. Hey, Joey, we can see that.
Oh, I love it. All right, this is why I love you guys.
It's really ableist.
All right. Let's go to the next call before I fall asleep playing bridge over here.
In the podcast, you couldn't stop making analogies about the Christian McCaffrey thing. So let me try to make an analogy. We have a football team that has no talent, that is full of rookies, that our future is going to be dominated by the presence of players on rookie deals, and that's not a free agent destination. So we got some money that we can spend on what talent we have. And we paid a little bit of extra money to the best player in the league. How's that for an analogy? I think that hits it right on the head. And as far as the argument that Tyreek Hill being on a team that has more mouths to feed and having an impressive season, I feel like that undermines the point that you were trying to make, because that means that the defense has to spread out all over the field. You know, you can't just put all your guys on Tyreek Hill. You have to cover Travis Kelce. You have to cover Le'Veon Bell. You have to cover all these other guys. And with the Panthers, you can just hone in on Christian McCaffrey and make him beat you, and he will. He's just that good. I can't let that stuff go. But anyway, keep pounding, y'all.
All right.
Oh wait, I wanted to say with Mike's question about the football game or football movies, Friday Night Lights. I wanted to throw that one into the arena. But
all right. Yeah, we're not trading you, Cody. You, I'm putting the restricted. I'm tagging Cody right now.
You're too expensive, Cody. We can't get rid of you.
Hey, by the way, if you don't at least see what trade value I have, you're not a good GM, bro.
True that.
Hey, Cody, I did want to ask you, do I have your permission? Do I have your permission to go back and pull the tapes from the day Christian McCaffrey was signed, the show from that day? Can I pull that tape?
Hell yeah, you can. I can't wait.
I just want your permission before I do it.
Are you going to make him walk over the coals?
I remember it being different when we signed him. I just remember your opinion being different when we signed him.
Not only do you have my opinion, I'll make a bet with you.
Okay.
You will hear me say the words that Christian McCaffrey was signed for the sole intention of putting asses in seats after a mass exodus of Panther talent left this football
That's not
team.
the draft
and
night.
That was the
but
primary.
He did say that.
He said signing. He said signing, not draft, right?
Not draft, signing. Yeah, when they signed Christian McCaffrey to the biggest deal, I want to pull the tape.
I know Cody said that.
And I want to hear you say, okay,
it.
You can win this bet, but if that's the only thing. But if I hear you say one time in the bet, this was a great decision, this was the right move, do I win the bet?
Good news is that Greg doesn't win a lot of bets, folks.
No, he doesn't, because you beat me on the bet we have for the season. So we'll call it a wash, right? If I pull the tape and you say this was a great decision, a great move for the best running back in the NFL, do you lose that bet?
Yes.
Yeah, fine, sure.
Yeah. Cool. Next week we got it.
All right. Next call.
Did we have a bet? Just out of curiosity, did we have a bet about Clowney having more sacks than Curtis Samuel?
Touchdowns. Yes, I lost that one to Cody. I haven't even checked it, and I know I lost that one. So I lost all my bets this year. Up until about week 15, it looked like I was winning every one of them.
Yeah, you were on track to win all of them.
I just lost every one of them. So yeah,
you really lost some momentum at the end.
Yeah, at the end of the season, exactly.
And you know what? Is the Panthers would, if the fucking football team wouldn't have fucked me, I would have even been more secure in our bet about the Panthers on the 2-4 win team. Next call.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Nick Montero. Hey, so I know I called in yesterday, but I just wanted to touch base on a couple things, okay? So I just looked up P.J. Walker's contract. P.J. Walker signed for $1.6 million for 2 years, okay? So we do have another year with P.J., okay?
We also have another
whether
year
or
with
not
Teddy.
we pick up a quarterback in the draft or in the offseason in general, because I wouldn't blame the team for doing either one, all right? I'd be okay with it. I think no matter what, you got to keep P.J. Okay? P.J. is a better backup than Teddy Bridgewater, in my opinion. Okay? I think P.J., I'd be more than happy with signing P.J. to even more of a deal, but I feel like he's probably going to want to try to find the starting role after the shit in the XFL, or after the role he played in the XFL. Granted, the tape on him this year is not that great. So who knows what's actually going to happen with that. As far as the rest of the offense, okay, we got to re-sign Moulton, okay, and I'd rather re-sign him than franchise tag him, so that way we can keep him around. I mean, he's been pretty solid. Actually, you guys would know better. I mean, has he been solid the last few years, or was it just this year?
He's been good the whole time.
Really has been.
No, he's been good the whole time.
He's been solid the last few years. I say we definitely sign him. If it was only this year that he's been solid, in the last years he's dealt with injury, or he hasn't played as well as he has this year, then franchise tag. We definitely got to keep Curtis in. I understand your argument. We can't pay everybody, okay? So what about this? Pay Curtis, pay Moulton, okay? Take Robbie Anderson, trade him to somewhere for a tight end. Okay? You trade him for a tight end, and you get a good quarterback in that. Now, DJ will be your deep threat. Curtis Samuel can be one of your slot receivers / running back. Okay? If Mike Davis's contract is up, okay, we have Mike Davis who will sit behind McCaffrey. All right? And then it's just basically the offensive line. I mean, obviously we're going to need more than just one tight end. Okay? But Robbie Anderson, with how well he's performed, and I do like Robbie, so I don't necessarily want to get rid of him, but at the same time, DJ and Curtis Samuel together, they are an awesome duo. Okay? I know we've had that for a while, and I know it's worked out okay in the past, but we've also had issues at quarterback in the past. You know, and this year isn't much better. So, as far as the offense is concerned, I think if there are two people that we're going to get rid of, it should be Anderson.
Let me take this. Number one, this is what I heard. PJ Walker, overpaid. That's what I heard in that call. Overpaid. Number two, next thing I heard is this. Is that why would we overpay Curtis Samuel when we could have an equal replacement with Damiere Byrd coming back, baby? Come on! All right.
Take the show away from Tony. Can we vote to just expel him from this?
G baby, call in for that. G baby, what do you guys say, G baby?
Take the show away from Tony and trade me for a second round pick, dude.
As long as we get a Lombardi out of it.
Takeover.
All right. Next call.
Yo, guys, it's Nick Montero again. Hey, real quick, what about doing a trade that involves Teddy Bridgewater where we take care of his 2021 salary? Mm-hmm. So, like, the Jets for their pick. So, like, let's say we and the Jets, we trade picks. We pay for Teddy's 2021 year.
Because we're going to have to do that
anyway. We'll get the quarterback
anyway.
that we want, and then we throw in, like, the first round next year, or throw in a couple, like a first round next year, a second round the year after, and a third round a year after that. Something that affects the next 3 years, but doesn't kill us. Or, okay, doing a trade with another team where we paid Teddy's 2020 or 2021 salary for a tight end, a star tight end, and the other team pays the tight end salary. Because a tight end is obviously going to be a lot cheaper than Teddy Bridgewater is. And in that note, it would kill two birds with one stone in the aspect of Teddy Bridgewater is no longer on the team, which, hallelujah, thank God. Okay? And we got the tight end, which we desperately need. I'd even be okay with doing it for, like, a left tackle. Hell, I'd be okay with doing it for any starting position that we definitely need. You know?
Nick,
and then it gets Teddy Bridgewater off.
I got to stop the call. Nobody is... Sorry, bro. I'm telling you, nobody is trading for Bridgewater. Like, the only thing that's going to happen if you trade for Bridgewater, we would have to go from the NFL to the NBA, and it would be one of those salary dump things. You know what I'm saying? Like, that don't make any sense.
There are only two people on our team that have any real trade value. That's Brian Burns and Christian McCaffrey. That's it. We're not trading Robbie Anderson or anybody else. I did want to mention one thing. If Curtis Samuel is willing to take a pay cut to stay here for a little bit longer, like maybe take a 2-year deal, yeah, I'm down to sign Curtis, but it can't be something long term. It has to be something that would just benefit for the time that we have a young quarterback and DJ Moore with a 5th-year option and another year of Robbie Anderson. Then if we had a rookie quarterback, then that would make a little bit of sense to me, and you would get rid of that cap hit before you had to pay DJ, I feel like. So in that scenario, I'd be okay with it. But it's only if Curtis is willing to take a reduced price to stay home, which I don't think he is going to do that. So,
look, he's not going to do it, and I'll tell you why. It's because, the Panthers paid Russell Shepard to a 3-year deal. You remember Russell Shepard, who had been a special teamer?
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember us all needing a deep threat, and we wanted to sign what was his name? Something Richardson. Paul Richardson from the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
He went to the Washington Redskins. Hell no. Even a pay cut, he's going to be too. Even if you underpaid him, Cody, it would be too expensive. Underpaid.
Yeah.
Underpaid. Next call.
Yeah, guys, Chuck from Elizabeth City again.
He's back, Chuck.
Continuing on talking about this draft. I'm really looking in the second, third round. If we pick up a corner, if Mooring, the safety from TCU, drops, maybe that's fine. But I think this is where we really could load up on some good offensive tackles and offensive guard.
That's what we got to do, bro. We need a ton of help.
Like Leatherwood from Alabama in the second round, Coleman from Clemson, Redunce, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, in North Dakota State tackle.
Oh, God. These North
We've
Dakota
got some
State
centers in there, Myers from Ohio State, Dickerson, Alabama, Humphreys from Oklahoma, Hill from Georgia, that we can pick up in the third round, even a couple of these guys. I really think we need to start addressing that, but I think if we can get a corner, but this is where that trading down, if we don't get who we want in the first round, we need to trade down. I see some other guys that we can hit fifth round, fifth round. I really see a good tight end. Ferguson, Wisconsin, Kohler from Iowa State. I really like. Look at tape on this guy, Charlie Kohler. He's got soft hands. He's a pass catching tight end, and he plays some good football. If we're getting to the end of our picks with the 6th round pick, we can hit a guy like the defensive tackle from Ohio State that'll look really good. I think his name's Tuglia. And then I think Matt Vrabel's got a son that plays offensive tackle at Boston College, just kind of projected in the 6th round. Anyway, I'm throwing a lot out there. But one thing I want to look at is if we only got 6 picks, and we know we need more than one offensive lineman. It wouldn't hurt us to get another defensive lineman. We need a safety. We need a corner. We definitely need a linebacker. We need a quarterback. We definitely have so many needs in the tight end. We're going to have to address some needs in free agency. I do agree, like Tony, somebody like we can't take a tackle or a corner. It's too much money. We're going to have to stick with a linebacker or maybe a receiver, get running backs and undrafted free agents. But I want to say one thing about this drafting. We're looking at the 2012 draft where Kuechly was the first pick. Guys, we had 2 picks in I want to say the 4th round. Picks number 103 and 104. We took Frank Alexander, defensive end, and we took Joe Adams, a receiver, I think, from Arkansas. Neither one of those guys have been in the league for a while. The pick right before those two was a quarterback that was drafted by the Redskins, Kirk Cousins, I believe, at 102. Look, he's still in the league. The money he made, I'm not saying as a franchise quarterback, but sometimes
I like the first great call. I think there's a lot there to unpack. One of the things is whoever North Dakota State's football PR guy is fucking brilliant, because y'all all want to draft every player from North Dakota State every year. I don't even know how these guys aren't in the national championship each year. Second, Joe Adams, Frank Alexander was was about to turn out, man. Like, he was going to beast, and then he just started smoking weed and got in trouble, and then that. The real bum of the group was fucking Joe Adams. And I tell you this, you really want to find a stain on Marty Herney's record. It is him trying to draft a punt returner. Like, we could not get any. We were a decade. Do you know until Ted Ginn Jr. came around, we had not had anybody who could field a fucking punt like consistently since Steve Smith was our punt returner. Like, that's how long it had been. We drafted Armani Edwards to do it. We drafted Joe, and that Joe Adams, who was he, Arkansas? He was all right for a moment. It looked like he was going to be the next little joystick mug. He was sorry though. Sorry. You don't draft. I think if anything, those kind of are good examples of how not to draft. One is like targeting a position group so much because it's such a weakness and a deficiency. I think of Tampa Bay and their effort to get a field goal kicker forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, they tried so hard to get a field goal kicker and it just backfired on them. What's that?
Yeah, look at that Joe Adams card.
It's cool. It's cool.
It's gorgeous.
It's cool.
And I have two of them. And Joe Adams is garbage.
Marty,
I have two of them.
I mean, this is part of the reason why I wanted him fired. Like, he missed so bad in the later rounds when he could have picked on some guys that it really
just as good as your boy did, Ireland.
Well, whatever. I'm not going to get sidetracked by this pointless discussion. I did want to say this, and I've heard Charles say this a bunch of times. He keeps on talking about wanting to trade back. And I feel like that notion is born out of, well, we're going to be settling for the third or fourth quarterback, so we might as well kind of, fall back a little bit and get some other picks. Well, if you spend the second round pick, you're also just settling for a quarterback anyway. So what I want to, make clear is this, and through the course of the offseason, I'm going to do a deep dive on all four of these guys. You're not settling for one or the other. If any of those four guys fell to Carolina, we should be happy to have every single one of them. You're not compromising on some false bill of goods. Like, I really...
if they're not great, if you don't think they're great.
But there's no reason... at a later date, I'm going to break down why I feel like they are worth it. There is reason to believe that they are great.
How about this? You don't like Trask, right?
I do not.
Trask is not in the top four.
No, but just imagine this, though. Imagine if they thought he was, and you would be like, well, it's Trask or trade back. Trading back, baby. So I do think there is something to that, especially with your Trey Lance stuff. I'm over this. Like, I don't even know North Dakota State.
Over the helmet.
Go look at the highlights, Tony. I'm telling you.
Over the helmet, man, dude.
Go look at the highlights. Trey Lance.
The only thing you got going for you in this Trey Lance shit from me or whatever is Jeremy Chin. That's the only thing that is undermining it for me. And what I mean by that is like Jeremy Chin basically went to North Dakota State and he's good. But so did some Sua Tuafua, whatever his fucking name was. And all those small school guards didn't work out for shit. And by the way, Carson Wentz ain't worked out technically. 252-228-59.
Ben Roethlisberger went to the University of Miami, Ohio. Have you ever heard of that in your life too?
Yes. It's in Ohio and it's like Miami. Mama, the Den Mama's in here. The Den Mama's in here. We were just talking about you, Susan. Like 20 minutes ago, we were talking about you.
Yay!
And a good. I was saying this. You want to know how I rolled at some football games? Susan, Mama Bear knows what's up. She knows what's up. That's a real fan. I give her the true fan card. 252-228-5098.
From Louisville City, what I was saying. Kirk Cousins was picked around the same area that we got Frank Alexander and Joe Adams. we just got to strike gold on these guys. That's why sometimes accumulating draft picks, like the Seahawks did on us the draft before last, when we took Greg Little and we missed it in Will Greer, we really gave up in essence about 3 picks for 2, and neither one of them has really played out. Definitely no one's not going to play out. But look at that same 2012 draft we got, Keeksley. 5th round corner from Coastal Carolina at 143, Josh Norman. You got to give Ernie credit on that. That was an awesome pick. So sometimes accumulating these picks, it's not a bad deal because maybe you miss on one, but you hit on another, and you get you an all-pro, or you get your guy in a Pro Bowl, or guy who's a starter, maybe year 2 or 3. We can really work this draft, guys. And look, I'm just looking at the overall essence of everything. We've just got to be smarter than what we've been in the past with our draft picks.
Can I comment?
Yeah, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I agree that that we've had some decent draft picks in the past that, and it doesn't change where you look at in the future, but I don't like the Josh Norman comparison simply because you can think whatever you want to about Josh Norman, but Josh Norman for his first 4 years in the Carolina was nobody. He had 0 interceptions. He got 4 in the one. He got 4 in the 1 year that he was good in 15. Got signed to a team because of how good he did that year, and has sucked ever since then. Josh Norman is not a good player. He had 1 good year. Dante Jackson has more interceptions in his rookie year than Josh Norman had in his first 5 years. So I just don't understand why people love Josh Norman.
Josh Norman was good, bro. He was
Josh Norman was good for 1 year. For 1 year, he was really, really good for 1 year. And then he went to the Giants, he played decent for a year, and then after that, he has been absolute
How about this?
garbage.
Josh Norman was very much dependent upon the type of scheme that we were running.
Okay, that's fine.
And so is Richard Sherman, right?
He's not a good player. He's a team player. No, Richard Sherman played good in Seattle and in San Francisco.
But Greg, you can't say that he's not a good player. He might not have been able to hold up on other teams, but he was damn sure good for what we were doing at the time.
As good as Dante Jackson is.
No.
As good as.
Oh, he's far better than Dante Jackson.
Dante Jackson has better numbers than he does. Why would you say that?
Because people were throwing to Dante Jackson. People avoided Josh Norman. If you look at the tape,
so Dante Jackson having better numbers when people are throwing to him means that he's a better
think this
quarterback.
is again stats, damn stats and lies, bro. Is that it's just if you're using
4
one stat
in the first 5 years.
Then we could use how about this? Who's got more interceptions? Let me ask you this: who got more interceptions in the first 4 years of their career? James Bradbury or Dante Jackson?
Dante Jackson.
Dante Jackson.
Dante Jackson is the best player ever. No, Dante Jackson's a bum.
I'm not saying he's the best player ever. All I'm saying is he's better than Josh Norman was. No. Josh Norman had 1 good year, and we give him a crown like he's the king.
I think that's unfair.
No.
I think
Greg,
he had
I'll tell you why you're wrong. Dante Jackson had an opportunity because he was playing. He was basically forced to play. No. Listen, James Bradbury was playing for Ron Rivera, who did not give young players opportunities.
Josh Norman.
If you go and look at how many starts he had,
let's look at the snap count.
Go ahead. Guarantee you're going to see.
Remember, he got benched.
Didn't have anywhere close to
Josh Norman got benched in that Buffalo game, 2014. No, it might have been 2012 or 20. It was when EJ Emanuel beat us. And they beat us in the last second of it was in the very beginning of the season. It was either 20. It might have been 20. It wasn't 20. We were good in 2013. We lost early in the season to EJ Emanuel, and it was because Norman went off script. He did some Dante Jackson shit and got benched for 2 years. Anyway, I think that's where I think that if we look at that, I think that we can find stats that make Teddy Bridgewater look very good, and we can find stats that make Josh Norman look pedestrian and this and that. And maybe he wasn't this lockdown corner, but he was. How about this? He's better than anybody we fucking got on our team right now?
Look, I've got it right here. In Josh Norman's 12 through 15 in Carolina. He had
was 2012.
162 yards defensively in defensive interceptions, 3 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. And he played
pretty good.
12, 10, and 16 and 16 games.
So wait. He had how many touchdowns against him?
2.
Against him? Or is that just how many he's gotten?
No, that's how many he scored.
I was like, wait, that's ridiculous.
That's very good.
But look. This is through 12.
I bet
13,
you Dante
14,
Jackson
and
ain't
15.
got no pick sixes, homie. Maybe one.
I didn't say pick. Well, you know what? Okay, that's fine. I'll give away the 2 pick sixes for the 6 interceptions Dante Jackson has in the same amount of time.
This is dumb, Greg. We're about to trade Greg.
I rely on my offense.
Look, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go and check the tape on those interceptions Dante Jackson had and tell me how many of those was ducked right to him.
Is that his fault? Is that his fault? So if Josh Norman has balls thrown right to him,
I can tell you this. I remember 2 games specifically.
Are you going to give him the credit?
I remember 2 games that Josh Norman straight won for us. I was at one that Jackson
his one good season. You're right.
Pick 6 into this and that. Yeah. I don't care. That one play. Remember that he got burned. See, Josh Norman had he would always get burned, and then he'd get that comeback speed a little bit, and he would make a play on the ball. Josh Norman, that pick, he made one of the best picks, and he was burnt like toast in that Saints game, dude. And saved the game when it touchdown.
Listen to this.
Let me ask Greg. Greg. I want to ask you a question. I hear the point that you're trying to make, and I agree with you to a certain extent. Like, no one's saying that he was, the best ever. But would you at least agree to this? In that one season, Josh Norman was way more of a dominant corner than Dante Jackson has ever been.
Only because he scored 2 touchdowns. Listen to this, okay? I'm looking at him right now. The first 4 years, okay? Dante Jackson has 3 years. He has 135 yards in defensive interception return yards. He has 10 interceptions in 4 years, in 3 years, excuse me, okay? Josh Norman in 4 years, had 162, so 35 more reception yards, and 6 interceptions, so 4 less interceptions. In 4 years, Norman did, than Dante Jackson has in 3.
But you're just talking about interceptions. How many times?
That's it.
Dante Jackson been burnt.
Yeah.
Like, what was his passer rating when thrown against him?
Yeah.
Like that. That's the real.
That's what we're talking about. And let's talk about this. Our secondary. Is our secondary better with Dante Jackson at any point than it was with Homeboy at any point? And the answer is no.
Right.
Dude, he's not it, man. Dante Jackson is all right at best. At best, he's
I
all
don't
right.
say that either, because if Josh Norman was able to have a fucking crazy breakout year, like, we have to at least leave the door open that next year Dante might do that as well. We hope he does.
I bet you this is that Dante ain't ever going to be a number 1 corner. Ever. Josh, not for one season. And Josh Norman was that for one season at least.
You remember, I was a big fan of him. I wanted him.
Yeah, you love him. You love him. I don't. Yeah. Next call.
Jay Anderson hitting y'all up, man. Ever since that L, I've been hearing about winning coaches the past 2 days. So I'm glad that I doing them. But hopefully Tepper do right by selecting a good GM, a better GM than Marty Herney, so we can have, so he can select some good draft picks, especially a franchise quarterback this year, and we can get on the right track of having winning seasons. The dude Teddy Bridgewater, man, I want to get on Teddy Bridgewater. I want to get on that quote. He said, "Hey, I won 14 touchdowns, and I had 14 touchdowns, and we went to the playoffs." Bro,
right,
dude.
Did you see Pat Coltrane on this?
Being a real asshole, bro. He being a real asshole. I'm like, dude, I understand. Like, that whole thing. I'm like, dude, you had 15 touchdowns. Kyle Allen had 17 touchdowns last year. And he didn't had a third wide receiver like you did. Cam Newton won 7 games with a lackluster at wide receiver and tight end. He won 7 games and stuff like that. I mean, Cam Newton had 18 touchdowns and 12 interceptions and won 5 games in 2014 with just only Greg Olsen.
Cam won more games this year than Teddy Bridgewater.
For him to say that quote, I mean, that's a real clown ass. That's a real clown ass of him. And I hope he's gone.
Hey, can I bring this up real quick too?
Man, I mean,
I pause it.
You guys wanted to know the last 3 years. I'm just going to go 18, 19, and 20. The stats I'm pulling from. Josh Norman has allowed 66.3, 67.4, and 65.6 completions his way. Dante Jackson 59.0, 61.0, 56.9. So Dante Jackson not only has more interceptions, he has allowed less completions in the last 3 years than Josh Allen has. So
it's a horrible argument. Go and check how many games Dante Jackson missed and he still had that many receptions against him.
Game started 16, 10, and 13. Let's see. For Josh Norman, game started.
You can't do started.
9. No. 16, 10, 13. 16,
nope, you can't do started. You cannot do start. How many times did Josh Norman this year do the first quarter and then didn't complete the rest of the game?
And Dante Jackson the same way, right? A few times.
Dante Jackson, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay.
He had almost the same amount of receptions against him with less playing time.
You were having to split really, really fine hairs here.
But that's what you're doing.
To deflect my. No, I'm not. I'm giving you stats.
Yeah, all right, let's get back to this call. Back to this call about Teddy Bridgewater. We're done talking about Dante Jackson, Josh Norman. We're done.
Because Dante Jackson is just as good as Josh Norman.
He's not.
Period. Point blank. The stats don't lie.
The stats.
And Tony, my eyes up. I dropped a video. I know I need you to grab it. You probably don't want to, but I promise you.
I will. Let's get it. But here, this is Jay Anderson on the phone talking about Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater said that he made it to the playoffs when he only threw 14 touchdowns. Pat Coltrane's video is so funny, dude. He said, shit, I threw 15 touchdowns this year. We should have made it to the Super Bowl. This team fucking sucks. And then he told Joe, and then Pat Coltrane was added like Teddy Bridgewater, and he said he told Joe Brady to go fucking gas up his minivan and bring it around. Y'all got to get your shit together. Teddy, I threw one more touchdown than I did. I made it to playoffs. Y'all bums. Good Lord. Oh, man, it's so funny.
Just hope, we get a better GM this time. Get a better GM. I like that Ed Dodge dude. I'm intrigued by the guy from Cleveland, the VP of football operation. I think Adolph Mansai or something like that, whatever his name is.
That guy we were talking
Jerry
about, right?
Reese, I'm cool with that. The Buffalo Bills assistant coach, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with, good guys from the AFC. I don't care about Jeff Allen from the Saints. I don't trust nothing from the Saints. Especially since we got Teddy Bridgewater from the Saints. So I don't trust nothing from the Saints.
Ireland's a Sean Payton plant. Next call.
Hey, yo, this is Jay Anderson. Y'all back. I forgot to get on one more thing, and that's the whole Joe Brady getting the interviews and stuff like that. I understand what Cody was saying. Like, hey, this, Joe Brady offense is fine. Is the quarterback. I just don't understand how this man just getting, I just don't understand how this man hype is still around. I don't see it, but oh well.
Cronyism.
And it's true. Once you if we had a better quarterback, if his play calling might
got the same age.
His play calling would have been showing and stuff like that. The offense would probably been ranked higher. But if they he end up taking the job, I hope we get a guy like Press Taylor from Philly. I like him. Joe Blameyer, who's from Kansas City. He's the passing coordinator in Kansas City. And Deuce Staley is another guy that I would like to see as an offensive coordinator. Basically, get an offensive coordinator who knows how to have a high power offense,
How to coordinate.
but also know how to play situation football. Hey, if we need to make up some good running plays and stuff like that, you can use different running backs, and stuff like that. So hopefully we get, good GM. If Joe Brady leaves, we get a good offensive coordinator, and hopefully that good GM and that good offensive coordinator end up drafting a better quarterback, a real franchise quarterback, not Teddy Bridgewater. All right, man. Y'all.
What I was going to say is, one thing about Dante Jackson, though, for you, Greg, is that I think this staff likes him because I kind of look at how much that we highlight people in the social media stuff. And he was in the goodbye video. He's been kind of front and center on a couple of things. So I don't think they're sour on him like Ron Rivera was. Next call.
What it do, boys? It's your boy Mike. AKA
Oh man. Hell, I didn't take choir in school. All right. So, boys, I was looking back at the highlights of the game because I was on the road. I wasn't able to watch it, and the stat that threw me off was the amount of interceptions PJ had. So I went back and looked at the tape, and clearly the first one, I think one wasn't his fault. The other two, I think, are attributed to a lack of first team reps. They just threw him to the fire like they did Will Greer that year. And, of course he isn't going to be on point with the receivers. So I'm interested to see where that little experiment goes, whether it's a backup role or a starting role, depending on what we do in the draft. And Tony, forget about it. Okay? The Bleacher Report, I read their first mock draft, and they are mocking, no pun, they are mocking Kyle Pitts to us at the number 8 pick. Now, I know I joke with you all the time about taking him in the first round, but I am not down with that. Okay? I want Zach Wilson. Justin Fields, probably a pipe dream. He might go to Atlanta. I'm looking at this list of unrestricted free agents. We got Alex Armah, Mike Davis, Pharaoh Cooper, Rasul Douglas, Cornelder, J.J. Jansen, Tyler Larson. Oh my God,
Alex
the
Armah's
list
on our
goes
team?
on all the way down to Curtis Samuel, and there he is, Taylor Moton. Taylor Moton has to be at the top of the list, and I don't know if he's going to re-sign with us. Because if somebody threw a bunch of money in my face and said, "Hey, come play for us," I'm probably going to do it, and he's probably going to do it. So, running out of time. Keep pounding, boys. Panther Pride till I die. Oh my God.
All right, last two calls.
Hey, this C-Dog, man. I'm trying to call in. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching the show right now.
Oh, it's a message line, homie. You got to leave the message. I'm telling you, if we can figure out, who is it? My man Darius from Raleigh said, we got to get on the Discord, man. We got some different things, but the problem is this, is the single problem is that I can get all of it to work. Live calls, all in this, but the problem is that I can't get the people that are in the hangout with me, Greg and them, to be able to talk back to the caller back and forth. They can hear it, they can do all that, but
so what is it that Big Cat uses? You ever watch when he does
See, here's the thing. Yeah, but he's not doing a conference call with 3 other people.
Plus, he's got 5 on it. So,
but here's the thing: is the problem is not us taking live calls. The problem is having Cody talk to the live caller without it becoming a loop. It gets in that where you can hear yourself and does the. So that's the thing. Is that if I was doing this,
be a solution. I'll talk about it later.
If I trade y'all away and I do this podcast with myself, I'll take live calls. But until that time, right now we're franchise.
Buddy. So,
all right, here, let's
go
see.
ahead and trade if
Here
you want to, but you ain't getting a third round pick
of
from me. So,
my thoughts are, man, Teddy Bridgewater is a fucking bug. I don't know why we played goddamn PJ Walker in the third quarter of the last game of the season. We should have played him like 3-4 fucking games ago. You know, this shit about Joe Brady getting a job is a fucking joke. Oh my God, my man just got surgery. He's missing a fucking thumb. But if I can, I would love to call in, man. I'm a diehard fan, but this shit crazy, man. It's embarrassing. We should cancel at least one more year. You know, I don't know what the fuck to do with this shit, man.
The one other thing is this, though, is imagine how long this show would be if we took live calls. Oh my God.
It'd be
we'd be here till tomorrow.
You'd have to hang up on people.
Yeah. All right. Let's. So we've talked. All right. That's it. It's the C3 Panthers podcast. We're gonna do our ISO picks and some stuff. But just to recap a little bit, we've talked about Joe Brady potential hires. We've talked about GM opportunities. We've talked about how Josh Norman's a bum and Dante Jackson is like fucking the best cornerback ever. Blah blah blah, send all of these things. Nah, we've had a great show tonight. When I think there's nothing to talk about, we talk for 3 hours and 10 minutes, and it's a great time hanging out with you guys. I appreciate all the people. Look at this, 53 people still in the chat hanging out. Y'all are the best. The number's 252-228-5098. You can leave a message anytime. And on top of that, you can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles and support all these other guys' work. Cody's all over the place. The other Cody is streaming all over the place. And Greg is podcasting all over the place. So we appreciate your support. And don't forget, all fans are true fans. Now let's jump into these ice up picks. Cody, we're going to start you off because I got the thing.
Yeah, so...
Hold on, let me make your little picture bigger. Hold on 1 second. All right, you go ahead and introduce it.
Yeah, so listen, Trevor Lawrence was gifted in a lot of ways, man. He has a flowing mane of hair. He's 6'6". He has a cannon for an arm. The dude is gifted in just so many ways. One of those ways in which he is not gifted is his ability to grow facial hair. And after his loss to the Ohio State,
don't worry, bro. I'm with him. I can't grow facial hair either.
Hey, man, it happens. Some people either have it or they don't. Trevor has a lot, but the ability to grow facial hair is not one that he possesses.
Do I need to play this video?
Well, a really funny thing happened. It's, when you're in a Zoom meeting, all I would say is it might be beneficial if you're going to shade somebody's facial hair, it might be good if you make sure that your microphone is muted before you do it. So, with that said, Tony, you can go ahead and play it.
Obviously, Ohio State played a really good game.
Poor Trevor needs to shave his stash.
Please mute.
Please mute. Did he say anything after? Oh, hold on. I think it paused. Why? Why did it pause?
Speaking.
Trevor needs to shave his stash. That handsome face barely has a stash. There's like 3 hairs on his lip there. You don't need to shave that. Be proud of that, man.
Yeah, I don't
3 hairs.
I mean, that's pretty much the clip. He didn't really say anything after, but dude, look, if you're gonna shade somebody and say something like that, make sure your microphone is muted.
Right.
She get fired, I imagine, right?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
yeah.
I kind of think that later she asked a question and played it off. Well, Trevor was cool about it. He laughed it off like you're supposed to. But, man, look, the dude just lost his final college football game of his career, and now he has to hear someone talking about Trevor needs to save his stash. Bro,
What do you think the chances are that he doesn't declare?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's declaring. Anyway, to the lady who asked, or to who wants to throw shade on a generational quarterback after his worst moment, one of his worst moments of his college career. Hey, maybe just mute your microphone or something. I suck, son.
Yeah, welcome to 2020, assholes, where we all know how to use video calls, number one. Number two, you probably work for the Bleacher Report. So you should probably get it. I mean, like, you're talking about, like, the most accomplished quarterback. It's kind of like me when what do you say when you want to talk shit about Drew Brees? You know, as a Panthers fan, you're just like, you got, it's like salesman says, it's like, we're gonna take solace in the fact that he bought $18 million worth of jewelry. He paid $18 million worth of money for $9 million worth of jewelry. But you know what I'm saying? Who's the joke really on? Who the joke really on? And I bet you this is she probably don't shave her legs. All right. My ice up pick is gonna be my ice up pick's easy. It's going back to work, homie. Going back to work sucks. I started back today. I'm ready for retirement, man. I got 19 more years. 19 more years. This
your first day back and you're ready to retire.
I've been ready. I know. I'm getting to. I've done 11 years at my job, man. I'm like to the point where I'm just like, I like work. I mean, I'm glad I got a job. Thank God. Thank God, especially for all the people that sucks. Is anybody who's struggling because of the pandemic or just life in general. I'm very blessed to have a job and family and overall health and stuff like that. But, you know, first day back at work does suck. So ice up first days back at work. Thankful for jobs. Anybody else got ice up pick?
I do.
All right, hit me up.
I do. And this goes back to the game on Sunday and the announcers. I don't know if you guys caught it, but there was one point in the game where they were talking glowingly about Teddy Bridgewater. They said, this guy, he is the consummate pro. They said, listen,
say that voice, CK.
They said, he takes on all the blame. And he's sure to dish out all the credit.
Yeah.
They're talking about Cam, baby.
Yeah.
What? Have you watched 90% of his pressers? Like, it's never, it's on me. It's like, we've just got to play better. You know, I that's unacceptable that I played that. No. He literally he threw his entire coaching staff under the table when he said, I just, you know, they weren't getting the call out, so I had to. Come on, bro. All right. Anyway, ice up announcers for literally just having this sheet of generic statements you want to say about a quarterback, so it doesn't look like you're just shit talking them. They're the problem with why people think Teddy Bridgewater is better than he is. Like, people like that don't actually watch Panthers football, that actually make their assumptions solely off of, well, he's got a nice smile. I don't know. Anyway,
ice up. Yeah. Mine's pretty simple. I'm icing up the post office. You know, we've been going through a pandemic, and for this entire time we've been going through a pandemic, if you get sick at work, like if you develop fever or have symptoms, you're required 2 weeks off, mandatory 2 weeks off, and they pay you for it because they're making you take it off. Well, as of Saturday, they're still making you take time off work if you get sick or you have symptoms or anything like that, but they're not paying you for it anymore. So you can either use your sick leave, or if you don't have enough sick leave, just not get paid. And the post office, I say ice up, because, you know, everybody gives credit to all these frontline workers, the paramedics and the cops and the firefighters. You know what? Postal workers doing the same thing. I have worked the same amount of hours that I have worked every year for the last 11 years of my life that I have through this pandemic, where a lot of people had off and got paid for it. And I've been working the entire time, working to get you your packages. And I get it that it doesn't always work out the same way it was, but I can only control what they give me. But for the post office to look at you and say, you know what, we're going to stop paying you if you get sick. Guess what? When I get sick, I'm going to work. And if somebody gets sick because of me, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's the damn truth, because that's what we've been doing for generations, bro. And the world works just
I can't
fine.
afford to not get paid.
No,
So to
yeah,
the
I
post
get you.
office and the government, I say I suck because that's garbage.
And don't worry, when they say front line workers, it's just the equivalent of saying prayers up.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, here, I want to play this for y'all real quick before we leave. Wait, this is the chip. Where is it? Come on. I saw it. He put it up. Oh, did somebody else? Oh, it's not on his Twitter. It was on somebody else's Twitter that they took.
Is it Pat Coltrane's?
Yes, I retweeted it. Hold on. Oh gosh, it is the funniest shit. He's funny, man. Pat is funny. I like Pat.
Yeah.
I
like Pat.
Hold on. Where are you? Come on. It should be. Yeah, I can't find it, man. God, it was so funny. Anyway, talk about not getting the giving out the credit. You're right. It's kind of like when my wife says we need to take the trash out, or we need to cut the grass.
Right. Yeah.
All right. C3 Panthers podcast. Cody Lash, tell them how they can get after you, bro.
Yeah, Cody Lack on Twitter, CODYLAC. Tomorrow it'll be the same comment, but there will be a new mock draft on drafttech.com. You can check out all my content there. And every week there's going to be a new mock draft. And now that the season's over, I'm going to start looking at film. We're going to get this better know potential Panthers pick or whatever Tony can remember saying. We're going to get that going at some point. And we're going to have a real long discussion about all these players and specifically the quarterbacks. Follow your boy. That's it for me.
Better get to know a player that the Panthers will not draft pick.
Yeah, probably. That's better.
Cody, CK, how can they get after you?
You can check me out on Facebook Gaming. I am Codizzle Allen, and I stream most nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. I think we might be changing some things up and do a little earlier on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, but come give me a follow. I have a giveaway going on right now, so be sure to follow my Facebook page, guys.
Yes.
What's the giveaway? Dante
$50.
$50?
$50, bro.
How do I win this 50?
That's worth it.
Hell yeah. I like
And you got to pay shit, bro. All you got to do is just go to my Facebook, and then like there's a link there that kind of goes through the giveaway stuff. You go do that, get your entries in.
That's like investing in Bitcoin. You ain't got to do shit. Just put money into it. You're going to make money.
Bro,
That's
money.
Good deal.
How about this? Is speaking of that, Russell Okung is now got paid $8 million. Dude,
what did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all? I told y'all that was a smart investment. That's 6.5 turned
especially
into
when
8
you
in
don't
less than a
need
week.
the money. Not
Less
need
than a
the
week.
money, but when you've already got money, so you can just direct invest it. Oh
Right.
man, dude, Bitcoin's up to 32 today. All right,
It was 34 the other day. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's getting up there. Yeah.
The Bat Daddy. How can they get after you, my man?
You can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter. Check out, that's my personal handle. I also do a few different shows on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. If you just look that up, you'll find everything I do. I'm doing a few live shows a week, so check me out. You know,
I changed my
movie reviews, TV reviews, all that good stuff.
I changed my opinion on the Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
The first episode you could toss it out, right? I didn't really like the first episode. But it was first. I don't know how they made I don't know how you make a character who you never see his face endearing, but you did it. The Mando guy is an endearing character. I liked it, but at the same time, I think it's just like it's very, to me at this point. The one thing I will say I'm down on is it seems a little Star Wars formulaic. It's like, let's go do this on this planet. Then we go do this side mission on this planet. And then we finish up here. I wanted a little bit more. But it wasn't a bust. They got better as it went on. And what's up with Homegirl's arms, dude? She is.
Talking about
Do you have any idea who that is, Tony?
she used to be a UFC fighter.
Do you have it? Yeah. So that was the
She used
first.
to be a UFC fighter. Yeah.
The first real star women's MMA fighter. Her name is
Mhm.
Gina Carano. She actually never fought in the UFC. She only made it to Strikeforce. That's where Ronda Rousey started too. But yeah, she's a bad bitch. That girl,
Those arms,
she really is, yeah.
Those arms are intimidating.
They are.
They showed them
Yep.
off a little bit too much. It was not a flattering costume. Anyway,
hey, real super fast. I recommend the show Warrior on HBO Max.
Ooh, let's all do one because I got one too.
Okay,
dude.
Okay.
If you have not seen Warrior, it's based on the writings of Bruce Lee, and dude, it is fucking incredible. I'm loving it. I'm 4 episodes
HBO
in.
Max,
Yeah, on HBO Max. It's basically like a gang drama with San Francisco in the 1870s as a backdrop, and it's violent as hell. But the martial arts scenes are fucking incredible. They're absolutely top tier, and the story is awesome.
Check that out. I want to recommend his Dark Materials on HBO Max. It is like a combination between Hunger Games and Harry Potter. So if you like either one of those series, it's a great series. James McAvoy plays the lead role in that, and Daphne Keane, who was the X-23 in Wolverine, is the second lead. Great show. Great show. Check it out, HBO Max. You'll really enjoy it. His Dark Materials.
my suggestion is hold on, Barbarians. It's like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's like if you like Vikings, you'll like Barbarians. It's cool.
I started watching that.
Vercingetorix was a real person. So yeah, it's not bad. It's short. It's too short, but hopefully it'll make it. CK, just watch him stream. He don't watch TV.
Yeah,
he just plays
watch
video
that.
games.
Good show. That's right. I like that. Yeah, that's right.
All right, we're out of here, guys. Good night. Thanks for your time, everybody, including the people on this panel, in the chat room, in the calls. We'll see you Tuesday. No post game this week, guys. Enjoy the playoffs.
No post game. I like it.
Pounding.